fans, it's the best time of the year. There's nothing jaunty about the Alouettes, a team of hard hits. The Bombers, a team of hard knocks. But the Owls bring out the best in them. In Montreal, Ray Bernard is the designated hitter on special teams. Mike Pringle can take it and he can dish it out too, playing in pain and still hitting like a Louisville slugger. But no one strikes fear into the hearts of defenses like Winnipeg's Milt Stegall, the league's leading receiver. And there's no quit in the general, Grant Carter, still rocking this team of hard knocks. Bring on the hits. Let's play hardball. Olympic Stadium in Montreal featuring perhaps the most evenly matched teams in the CFL. It's the Alouettes and the Bombers who always play it close in the year of the blowout. And today, Montreal goes for the series sweep with the next generation looking on. Good afternoon and welcome to the CFL on CBC. I'm Mark Lee. Well, the Alouettes are 3-0 against Winnipeg, but their margin of victory has been oh so narrow. A field goal in game one, then 5 points, and in the last game, just a single point. But the Owls are going to the playoffs and the Bombers aren't for the first time in 18 years. And in Winnipeg, the patience among fans is wearing thin. They are restless with their rookie head coach, Jeff Reinbold.
Jeff Reinbold, show on CJOB. Go ahead.
I would just like to say that I'm tired of hearing Jeff cry after every game that they lose. Did you cry after the 13 losses when you lost last year in BC as much as you did this year?
Thank you. Thanks for the call. You're on the Jeff Reinbold Show.
As far as I'm concerned, this football team has been garbage from day one this season. There is nothing that's enthused me, and I can't believe how quiet the fans have been. I mean, I listen to your show after show. I don't hear any of the fans beefing. I can't believe this. This coach must have something over them, but he doesn't have it over me. I think he's a lot of talk and no action.
Many observers in Winnipeg actually remarking at how patient the fans have been up until now. We'll hear, incidentally, from Jeff Reinbold later in the broadcast. But to be fair to the Bombers, their best 3 losses have been against Montreal.
With that atmosphere, though, how can Winnipeg play out the string? This means a lot for them because they have to put a better face on the season. I think it's a tougher game for Montreal. They know they're in the playoffs. They know they'll host the Eastern Semi, and I'm surprised Mike Pringle's playing today.
I'm really surprised Mike Pringle's playing also. He's nursing some extremely sore ribs right now. If he doesn't play, they've got a young guy sitting on the bench that's going to come in for him, and Haskins, who they're very excited about. But Mike Pringle being on the field at this time of the year with sore ribs, I'm really surprised, Chris.
Now for Winnipeg, they have to pull out all the stops, and Milt Stegall has been their big man all year long, especially tough against Montreal, a 105-yard touchdown here his last visit at Olympic Stadium. And Chris Vargas has had a lot of success against Montreal.
Well, the game notes are pretty easy, Chris. We're going to talk about pride for Winnipeg. They have to sign every play. They're putting their signature on every play. Their peers are watching, and for Montreal, the playoffs are 2 weeks away. Let's stay healthy and be ready.
Teams, as you said, Mark, evenly matched, and they also have an even dislike for each other.
Well, Dave Ritchie saying the other day that Jeff Reinbold was not among his most loyal employees when they were together in B, so some bad blood there. We'll see how that plays out. Here's what's coming up at the half. Slot back Jock Clammy, a brilliant student at Queens, a gifted receiver. He's put his law career on hold in search of his first Grey Cup. We'll hear from him at the half. The foliage in full bloom here in Lower Canada, the Big O, the cavernous, monstrous concrete stadium that magnifies the small but always vocal crowds here for Montreal Alouette football. Let's tee it up. Here's Chris and Dave.
Hey, Mark, I was going to say it's redundant to say a brilliant student from Queens. It all goes hand in hand. There's Dave Ritchie. Well, a couple of games before the playoffs, Dave not showing much excitement there, but with a win today, they can match a franchise-high 12th victory on the season, and Jeff Reinbold already looking ahead to next year, and he wants to find out who wants to play next year for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We're underway at the Olympic Stadium, and here is the aforementioned Thomas Haskins, who's been on the Alouette roster since June, but getting his first start in the CFL and a 20-yard kickoff return to give the Alouettes their first possession up near the 40-yard line. Tracy Ham has not thrown a touchdown pass against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year. That caught me by surprise after 3 victories over the Bombers.
I think it tells you a little bit about how evenly matched these two teams are. They just two teams match up well against one another. They like to pound the run, and they like to try to play hard-nosed, hard-hitting defense.
Larry Justanis is the backup quarterback, and we expect to see the Canadian sometime this afternoon. From the 35, there's Mike Pringle. First carry of the game, sore ribs and all. Pringle powers his way up to the 39-yard line. He is 9 yards short of the all-time Alouette rushing record in a single season.
This is a good offensive line. That has to be the way Mike Pringle's run the football. Mark Dixon, they consider the best. He suffered for some injuries, but a lot of people feel like he might be the best in the league. Mill Coleman has really solidified the outside receiving situation. The two slot guys, Climbey and Armstrong, have always been strong, but Mill Coleman has really bolstered an outside receiving crew that hasn't caught a lot of balls.
And Coleman had his breakout game against the Bombers, a 100-yard game earlier this season. Ham over the middle, and that's a terrific catch by Coleman up to midfield.
Now, does Mill know timing, or does he know timing?
He takes the cue.
It's a good read by Tracy Ham. He sees it. It's man coverage and nobody in the middle of the field. And Coleman makes a super one-handed catch for him. And then he does what he does so well, run after the catch. This is something you can't teach. It's just a knack, and he has it.
Ham in the Winnipeg territory, 54-yard line, first down. Swings it out far side. There's Jock Climbey, and he's to the Winnipeg 45-yard line as we set the Bomber defense.
Well, this is a Bomber defense has played much better over the last 5 ball games, and the Scribner brothers are going to start on the defensive line. Glenn Scribner is nursing a knee, but he continues to play strong. Shante Peoples leads this defense in just about every category: tackles, sacks, and Shannon Garrett, who suffered with a broken hand all season long, leads the defensive backs in interceptions.
Second and a yard for Pringle, goes straight ahead. And had to roll off the initial hit and should have the first down, but it was tough going in there, and we'll be watching Pringle closely today. 330 yards short of 2,000 yards.
And that's really the motivating factor for Mike Pringle to actually be on the football field. I had a chance to talk with Mike earlier, just before the ball game, and asked him why is he playing in the game, because you could tell that the ribs were bothering him, and he's one of the pure warriors in this game, one of the tough guys, as he's come up just short, and they'll certainly go here on third down to try to pick up the first down. But I asked Dave Ritchie, I said, does Mike play today? And he says, yes, it's his call. And I was a bit surprised at that. He's going to let Mike Pringle decide how long he can play and how much he can play. But again, looming a couple weeks away is that semifinal in the Eastern Division.
It's a great call for us as fans today, because you always want to see Pringle, but it isn't a great call if the injury is aggravated and we don't see him in 2 weeks' time. Third down and movement on the Winnipeg line. So the plunge ahead by Ham is academic. We're looking at that Winnipeg defense, and it's last in just about every category, which is why the fans in Winnipeg are grumbling. But the stats...
Offside, Winnipeg, number 91. First down, Montreal. I know.
Let's get to the penalty first. Tyrone Rogers jumps the gun. The stats, however, Dave, would indicate there is some progress being made.
Yeah, Coach Reinbold wants you to point to the last 5 games his defense has played, and they're only giving up 17 points a game and just over 300 yards a game.
Here's Ham throwing it out, and Chris Armstrong has his first catch. Tracy Ham distributing the football. He's got Armstrong for 14, has already hit Coleman and Climbey.
Well, this is one of the better starts I've seen Tracy get off to this season. He's struggled this year by Tracy Ham standards. He's had a decent year, but this time he's getting everybody involved. Already Climbey, Armstrong, and Mill Coleman have touched the football, as well as Pringle running it from the backfield. So he's getting everybody involved early.
Ham 5th in pass efficiency so far this season. There's another catch by Chris Armstrong. Out of bounds, Shannon Garrett edged him out after a 15-yard pickup, and a precise Tracy Ham to open the game.
Good throws by Tracy Ham and super routes by Armstrong and Climbey inside. Now, these are two smart receivers, and if you're going to play a man coverage, they're going to use you all day long. Both of them understand how to run the routes inside, how to set up their defensive backs and give their quarterback a good throwing lane, and they've done that on the last 3 plays.
First down, and Ham looks to the end zone, and it's a touchdown. Jock Climbing. What a drive by the Alouettes.
What a methodical drive, Chris, by this offense to push the football down the field. And again, Tracy Ham right on target. Climbing isolated against Reggie Carthen. Climbing uses the arms to swim inside, give his quarterback, again, a good throwing lane. There was no threat of a defensive back to the inside because Climbing ran such a good route. And he catches the touchdown pass, his 6th of the year.
Jock's 80th catch on the season. How about Ham on the opening drive of the football game? 5 for 5, 65 yards. Climbing caps it. And 3:34 into the first quarter. It's the Alouettes up by a touchdown. A precision drive executed by the Alouettes. 8 plays, 75 yards. And Jock Climbing, 80th catch on the year. That's a season high. And he's also now within range of maybe breaking a personal best in yardage as well. Terry Baker with the kickoff. Here's Ted Long, newcomer to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who we will see in a backup role as a receiver today. It looks like Long's going right into the offensive set.
Well, the offense of Montreal worked, as you said, with extreme precision. And Tracy Ham, you see him survey, looks off the safety, and then inside, a well-run route by Jacques Climbing. Ham does a super job of looking off inside coverage and gives Climbing the ability to get inside without any safety help. And those two guys operated extremely well, along with Armstrong in that drive.
Bombers start from their own 39. Chris Vargas at quarterback. And here's Ronald Williams out of the backfield, and Williams up to the 46-yard line as a gain of 7. And he was tracked down on the play by Charles Gordon. Well, Vargas had his 2 best games of the year in starts against Montreal, 288 yards July 3rd. And in his last game against Montreal, 293 yards passing. He has 3 touchdowns against the Alouettes, no interceptions.
Yeah, he's only a 50% passer on the year, but 61% against Montreal.
Of course, one of those games, the stats padded by the 105-yard reception by Milt Stiegel, longest in the CFL this year. 2nd down and 3, and not much doing there as Rashawn Giddings closed the hole on Ronald Williams.
Well, Ronald Williams is one of those guys you need to get the ball in his hands about 15 to 20 times, and they get him the ball with a little pass out of the backfield in the first play and then run him on 2nd down. But Montreal loaded up the line of scrimmage and did not allow him to pick up a yard, and they'll have to punt the football.
It's a full yard, maybe a little bit more than that, and the Bombers are not in a gambling mood to start this game.
Well, I think you want to keep the game within reach, obviously. You don't want to turn the football over here at midfield. Give your defense the full field to work on.
So Bob Cameron's in. And Chris Wright, who was injured last week, at one point did very serious, but the Charlie horse has not kept him out today, and Wright takes it at the 27. Chris Wright trying to get outside, and he's upended at the 30. Here's Mark Lee.
Chris, yesterday we witnessed a changing of the guard in the CFL as Don Matthews set a new CFL record with 148th career win.
Well, Bob Nicholson and the Toronto Argonauts made it really special. The players made it special with the win, but Bob brought my 3 children up, and also Frank Clare, you know, one of the builders that helped formulate this league and get it to this point. So all in all, a very, very special moment.
Well, our congratulations go out to Don Matthews. What a season it's been. The Argos juggernaut seems to get stronger by the week. Here's Mike Pringle. After a short game, tossed down.
And I think having Frank Clare there for the record-breaking win was big for Don. I think that really brought the magnitude of the event to fruition. You know, I think he's done such a super job anywhere he's been that, you know, it's a great honor, well-deserved. Once again, Greg Battle flying all over the field. This is a guy that just continues to do things late in his career, flying all over the field, making plays.
One of the premier linebackers in CFL history, matched up against one of the top running backs ever. Souls with the catch out of the backfield, and he'll be short of the first down. Shante Peoples, who's had a strong season on the tackle, but we might be watching Greg Battle for the second last time in his career. That's his decision, but at 33, people speculating about his future.
Hey, he's second on this team in tackles. He's second on this team in special teams tackles. He has 2 interceptions. I mean, his play has not declined. He continues to play well.
Dexter Dawson is deep, and Terry Baker is going to run for the first down. Look at Baker running through daylight here, and the slide safe at the 50-yard line, a 24-yard gain for Terry Baker. Not necessarily a threat to Mike Pringle, but he got the job done.
Yeah, that's an understatement to Mike Pringle, but he just recognizes that this is definitely not called. This is just a veteran punter who recognizes the situation. He realizes nobody's rushing, and he just pulls it down and takes off. That's just a veteran kicker understanding the situation and realizing what he can get away with.
And he got down with Robert Davis bearing in on him.
Very wise.
At the 50-yard line, Tracy Ham back to work and elusively got out of trouble, but a marker down. Here's Pringle. Look at the open room for Mike Pringle down the sidelines, and he stopped at the 5-yard line. Nick Ferguson saves a touchdown, but I think this one's coming back.
Well, you're going to get a hold, Chris, that's going to bring it back, but Ham is clearly over the line of scrimmage when he throws this, and no flag came up from that situation.
Montreal, number 64. First down repeated.
So if they don't get this holding call, this play would have stood. But Ham is easily a half a yard to a yard over the line of scrimmage on the throw. Tyrone Rogers is drugged down in the middle, but watch where Ham is. He's beyond the line of scrimmage, to throw the football.
Well, Mark Dixon called the right guard, the best offensive lineman on the Alouettes, who almost died because of an infection in Winnipeg earlier this year. He was in real trouble after an infection that closed up his throat. He had trouble breathing, rushed to hospital. Here's Ham under pressure, 1st and 20, and he throws incomplete.
Good pressure from this Winnipeg D-line. They continue to fight and come after the passer. Grant Carter and Glenn Scribner coming after Tracy Ham. This is a guy you really have to maintain the width on because he'll scramble outside. Super move there by Grant Carter to get by Neil Fort. He just swatted him out of the way and got inside and put the pressure on Tracy Ham.
8 minutes gone.
And Carter knows these tackles extremely well, having played on this team.
Teamed up with Alfred Payton last year, and they were dynamite from the outside. Here's the center screen to the fullback Souls up to midfield. Right down by Greg Battle, who's having an afternoon, isn't he?
Yeah, Greg Battle again makes the play on the screen pass, and the pressure by Shante Peoples. Peoples loops inside and finds a little room. You see 56 coming right up the middle. Souls bumps him and tries to get into the screen. Battle sniffs it out and makes the play.
He's playing a lot like he's getting ready for 98. Dexter Dawson deep, the former Alouette, and this time Baker does punt the football from the 11. And Dawson with a block might turn the corner here. Dexter Dawson trying to get outside, and good persistent work there by Souls. Fought off the block and doesn't let Dawson around the corner. 7-0 Als, midway through the first quarter. For the Winnipeg Blue Bombers today, but we do expect to see Reggie Filion.
Yeah, Raymond Filion will take some shots at some point in the ball game. He's going to get, instead of one series, they're going to give him several series in a row to try to get a little feel for the game.
Joe Powell directing the offenses at the sidelines. And a pass out in the flat behind Dexter Dawson. And a couple of yards on that gain.
Well, this Winnipeg offense has struggled to try to find their stride. They're last in the league throwing the football, and But the big group up front really is a solid group, and it's really the strength of their offense. And Brett McNeil, who learned from Chris Walby and Miles Gurrell, and then, of course, their wide receiver crew, which they're building into a pretty good group. Joe Rogers, I played with last year at an all-CFL season, was actually the Eastern Rookie of the Year, back in the lineup now for Winnipeg.
They had them lined up on the depth chart differently this week. A couple of guys that were inside going outside, but I'll tell you Rogers over the middle with a catch.
These guys know timing. When we talk about them, they make a play. We talked about Mill Coleman earlier, and he makes a catch, and now Joe Rogers dives, and now they've ruled it as an incompletion, but it looked like a super effort, but Joe Rogers inside.
Let's have another look. Rogers thought he had it.
Good protection by the offensive line, and Vargas tried to throw Joe into an open area, and Rogers just couldn't come up with a diving catch. But he's a good one. He's a guy that's really going to really upgrades their offense. If they can get a couple of guys or another guy to join that receiver core along with Milt Stiegel, that's a formidable receiver core.
Chris Wright is back. That is 48. And Wright straight up the middle. Still going. Only Cameron to beat. Say goodbye. 62 yards. Chris Wright, his second punt return touchdown of the year.
Well, these two teams play it close to the vest. They've had 3 close games all year, and there's something about Winnipeg that brings the best out in Chris Wright. The last time these two teams faced, he had 248 return yards, which didn't include an 115-yard punt return that was called back. This time he just hits it straight up the middle. Everybody overran the play. Good blocking by Nash right there, and now just make Cameron miss. That's nothing for Chris Wright, who a couple of years ago was considered maybe the best returner in the league as a rookie.
Had the terrible knee injury that sidelined him most of last season. And I'm sure the Alouettes were holding their breath last week when he went down. But there's nothing wrong with Chris Wright. And the Alouettes off to a fast start here at the Big O. I remember a couple of years ago in the Grey Cup game, a kick return for a touchdown that was critical in the Baltimore Stallions Grey Cup victory, and Chris Wright seems to know his way to the end zone.
This has been a good team for him to play against. He really seems to thrive against Winnipeg.
Looks like the Alouettes were offside on the kickoff. Ted Long stopped before he reached the 30-yard line, but I think we're going to have to do this again. You know, we talked about, Dave, this being a tough game for Montreal to play, and you don't want injuries at this time of the year, but you don't have the luxury of a huge roster to bring on reserve for a game like this. Pretty well have to go with your best people.
Offside on the kickoff, Montreal, number 17, re-kick.
Yeah, the playoffs are locked up, and where they're going to play in the playoffs is locked up. Right down at the bottom of the screen, right there is your offside.
Alan Boyko.
But it is difficult. They're going to, because of the size of the rosters, as you alluded to, Chris, 36-man, a lot of your everyday guys or every play guys, defense and offense, have to play special teams. So as you see Douglas Kraft, the number one corner, one of the corners on this team, there's Charles Gordon, their starting halfback. These guys all have to play on special teams. There's really no way to get them any rest or get out of the game because of the size of the rosters. You'd like to try to protect yourself as best you can.
That was Kraft offside on specialty teams. That's another factor here. The starters have to play so much on special teams too. Ted Long will try it again, and this time a little more room for Long, and finally scrambles out to the 45-yard line, and that's Bruno Heppel with the tackle after a 25-yard long return.
Well, your punt returner would like to go north and south as soon as he catches the football, or as soon as he can. This time he is able to go north and south right now, which splits an overrunning coverage group. A good block by Harold Nash at the point, and then it's just make the punter miss. And Chris Wright's done that a number of times already in his young career.
So the Bombers have to get something done offensively. Ronald Williams, right side, finds a hole and powers his way near midfield. And that should be a first down for the Bombers.
Well, this is putting your offensive line, the group you feel is the strength of your offense, up to bat. And Ronald Williams gets in behind that offensive line and just pushes it down the field. Ronald's had a good year. He's right there in the top among the rushers, but he kind of struggled last time they came to Winnipeg with determining whether the team was more important or whether he was more important, and he was sent home. But since then, he's regrouped and found out that, hey, I'm just one of 12 on offense.
Yeah, he's not the first guy to get distracted by a visit to Montreal, but it's not a wise career move. And I think Williams is feeling fortunate he got a second chance.
Yeah, he immediately went in and apologized to Coach Reinbold. This was in week 12, I believe. They'd come to Montreal to play, and he decided to skip a meeting and was sent home. And Jeff flew in Tyrone Montgomery, and Montgomery had a super day, over 90 yards rushing, and then played a couple of weeks in a row where he had some good days. And Ronald Williams said, hey, wait a minute, maybe I am just a part of the team.
2nd and 7 for the Bombers. As you can see, have been slow starters all season long. Here's Milt Stegall open, and Stegall has done it again. Vargas to Stegall. It's another big touchdown for Stegall. This one 52 yards.
Oh, and the big surprise here, Chris, is Charlie Gordon is the guy that has coverage on him, an all CFL halfback from a year ago, and it almost looks like the play they had here in week 12, the 105-yard touchdown that he caught on Harold Nash. Just an easy inside release, nobody there to jam him, and this is one of the great speed guys in the league. You just let him run down the field, he's going to outrun anybody you have.
An even dozen touchdowns for Stegall, who came into the game with a receiving average of over 25 yards, and the only player in CFL history that ever finished a season that high was Margene Atkins back in 1969 with the Ottawa Rough Riders, and Stegall just improved his average with that catch.
Well, I know there's a fear factor with his speed, but you have to get a jam on this guy. Charlie just opens up the gate, and there's no free safety. And that's just pitch and catch for Vargas and Stegall. They've done it several times this year. The guy's got 8 touchdown passes over 50 yards. Add this one to the mix. There's no free safety in the middle of the field, and you see the speed with which Milt propels himself down the field. That's a great read by the quarterback. I mean, as soon as you see, the first thing you look at as a quarterback is there a center fielder, meaning a safety? If there's not, who do I have going vertically through the middle of the field, and who better than your top receiver, Milt Stegall? And he put it right on the money. And Chris is having a little deja vu. Threw a 105-yarder here last time they faced his team on a very similar play.
We've talked about this before. The only surprise when Vargas and Stegall hook up is that they don't do it more often.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's not more a part of their offense. Try to get him the ball in the intermediate range as opposed to trying to get the ball downfield to him when the game is maybe in doubt. They've gotten it to him earlier this time, and maybe they'll try to feature him a little bit more in their intermediate area.
I mean, Stegall's had all these big play catches this year, but his biggest game is only 128 yards. Here's Chris Wright. And this time, better downfield coverage by the Bombers. Wright stopped at the 36. Sammy Brennan led the way.
Here's something you should never do.
Back in Montreal, where Milt Stegall is savoring his touchdown, Chris and Dave were wondering about why he isn't used more often. The psychological profile on Stegall is that he's the type of receiver who likes to run around a lot out there before they throw to him. That was the 3rd offensive series of the game before he got his first pass.
Here's Mike Pringle trying the left side. Stopped at the 40. It's a gain of 4.
He likes to run around a lot. Well, you only have so much time to throw the football.
But even in 3 quarters, you'd think that they could get him the ball from this point on, keep working to him.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I think that if they threw the ball to Stegall early in the game, he's not going to turn it down. I think that they need to get him the football more. He's their featured receiver. Get him more involved, which allows you to open up some other people. They have to start really concerning themselves with Stegall catching the football.
So far today, the Bombers D has done a pretty good job against Mike Pringle, and here's a pick. Greg Battle took it away from Michael Souls, and Battle's inside the 20, and Tracy Ham and Chris Armstrong bring him down. Greg Battle is having himself a first quarter. This is a 29-yard interception for the 33-year-old veteran. Flag down now. his 3rd interception of the year.
Well, Battle just bluffs like he's going to blitz and then steps out and takes the ball away from Michael Souls. Tracy Ham thought Battle was going to blitz.
Unnecessary roughness. Montreal, number 66. First down, Winnipeg.
Yeah, the wily veteran steps out and picks it off.
Neil Ford charged with the unnecessary roughness. Now there's still a lot of battle in the great linebacker.
I got to think he's a guy they're going to talk to about coming back again next year. I know he's talked about this being his last season, but he has played so well that they really have to consider bringing Greg Battle back or trying to entice him to come back.
I don't know if you could be a playing coach on defense, but he'd be a leading candidate if it was possible.
I think he's helped coach some of those linebackers to a certain extent, but yeah, it's difficult to coach and play, but he coaches by his example.
Here's Ronald Williams on the last carry for Winnipeg as they try to pound in the tying touchdown.
It's a good job of Rashid Giddings getting inside and sealing the crease that Ronald Williams thought he had initially. Now probably a passing situation here for Vargas.
2nd and goal from just inside the 5. It is a pass and over the head of Dawson into the end zone looking for Stiegel, and he was in a real battle there with Harold Nash. And the flag is thrown, so it should be an automatic first down Winnipeg.
Lazarick trying to sort things out, directing traffic.
Got the debating team on the field. A lot of chirping, but Lazarick.
Legal contact on an eligible receiver. Montreal, number 21. First down, Winnipeg.
That was Irv Smith. I think he got tangled up with Dexter Dawson, but Irv Smith is called.
Well, they're trying to rub one that's what's called a little rub route. They were trying to rub off. Stiegel was trying to rub the cover guy of Joe Rogers off and let Joe get to the flat. But there's a lot of grabbing going on, and subsequently somebody was called for holding on.
They take it down to the 2-yard line. It's 1st and goal now. Ronald Williams high, but driven back.
Stephon Reed there at the point of attack was able to catch Ronald Williams right at the top and drive him back. And that's what those linebackers are looking to do. If they have a jumper, which Ronald Williams decided to go with, his technique was to jump. A linebacker's trying to mirror him with the jump. You're going to see 47. Stephon Reed hit him right at the apex of the jump, and then Nash comes in to dress him up.
So they'll try it again. 2nd down, Williams again, and this time he's in. Touchdown, Bombers.
Well, Ronald went with a different plan of attack this time. Instead of jumping, he acted like he was going to jump and then slid to just a little area we could fall across or break the plane, is what he did before they drove him back. As Chris Perez, the all-CFL tackle, slow to get up.
He was at the bottom of the pile, and Ronald Williams over the goal line for the touchdown.
Well, Ronald got met on the jump last time. This time he's going to slide and just barely got in, as Swift Birch was right there to try to make the play to keep him out. But again, Reed was there to try to meet him over the top. You see 47. But he evidently got just enough push to get it across to break the plane of the goal line.
So the Bombers showing some resiliency here after falling behind quickly, 14-0. They have bounced back within a convert of tying the score as Chris Perez continues to get attention. That was the final play of the opening quarter.
Chris Perez has had another all-star year based on the people that I talked to around the league that have had to go against the big left tackle. He got a Grey Cup ring last year with Toronto. Found himself a man without a job, and Dave Ritchie Jeff Reinbold immediately jumped on the boat and grabbed Chris Perez and brought him in.
Well, these two teams, as Mark Lee talked about from the outset today, have been locked in 3 tight games, and it looks like we're going to have a 4th. 9 points, the difference in the 3 meetings, and now Perez is up and hobbling off. Let's find out what happened to 62.
He kind of gets caught in a pile a little bit. He and Giddings are going head-to-head. And that's one of those things where guys are falling on your legs and you're getting twisted, and just a tough area to play. And those big guys are always getting twisted and bent, and it's amazing how long these guys can play and at the level they play at.
Tighten it up and see how he does.
Got that Grey Cup ring and the gold watch from Doug Flutie. Got watches for the offensive lineman after the Grey Cup victory. Bombers on the last play of the quarter score the touchdown and add the extra point, and we are even after 15 minutes at Olympic Stadium. Be an interesting afternoon. Bombers offense averaging 4 points in the first quarter through the first 16 weeks, but a 14-point explosion here after falling behind by a pair of touchdowns.
Yeah, 7th in the league in scoring at 22 points a game, but already 14. And Winnipeg has cashed in on their opportunities. Really haven't done a lot yards-wise, but they've taken care of the football, which is something that really they've done all year long. They really have taken care of the ball, and when they've gotten an opportunity, they've cashed it in.
Troy Westwood to kick it off. And Haskins picks it up at the 5. The newcomer out past the 20-yard line. Gang tackled there. Here's Mark Lee.
Chris Bomber lineman Chris Perez has an injured right ankle. He says it was rolled up in that sea of humanity down on the goal line. I asked him if he's going to be okay. He said, don't know. This hasn't happened to me in a long time. A lot of weight to have on a bad wheel.
They might have to make an adjustment on that offensive line. Franco Roca might have to come in.
He's carrying about 300 pounds. You know, he's out in space, meaning he's out on the left side there a lot of times by himself. So agility, a big factor for him.
Play action for Tracy Ham on first down. And he guns that short pass complete to Climby, who has a touchdown today. And a short game, maybe 3 for Climby, who will be the focus of attention on our halftime show.
And Winnipeg's changed philosophy a little bit defensively, now playing a little bit more zone on first down, not giving Tracy Ham the opportunities to allow Climby and Armstrong to work their 2 halfbacks, and it's worked out a little bit more for them. They're limiting the first down play now.
2nd and 7. Ham buys some time. Milt Coleman, and it's picked off through Coleman's hands. And the Bombers have their 2nd interception of this first half. Nick Ferguson comes up with the football. That's his 2nd pick of the year.
Well, Tracy turned down the opportunity to throw the ball to Michael Souls, who was open in the wide side flat, and comes back to the backside. He's looking for Milt Coleman, and the ball goes right through his hands. It's a well-thrown ball, but Nick Ferguson using the tip drill, and that's something that defensive backs work on constantly. The ball being tipped in the air and getting to it and securing it for the offense to come in and make a play. Nick Ferguson's 2nd INT of the season.
Boy, all the momentum after the Chris Wright punt return touchdown has swung Winnipeg's way. Great battle with an interception that set up a touchdown, and now Ferguson gives Winnipeg the football at the 34. They fake to Williams. Vargas, that pass batted down, intended for Stiegel.
No, bootleg fake. He wanted Stiegel in the flat, had Joe Rogers clearing, taking Douglas Kraft and Tom Europe out of the play, but the ball tipped the line of scrimmage.
I think Alfred Payton got his hand on that. There it is.
People really have started to concentrate on Alfred. Why they weren't earlier, I have no idea. He had 12 sacks in the first 10 games of the season, but has not had a sack over the last 6. So they're double teaming him.
Vargas, 2nd and 10. Look for Stiegel, and there's a pass knocked down. Good defensive play by Charles Gordon, who got scorched by Stiegel earlier.
We talk about Alfred Payton. There's Bruce Boyko out blocking on Payton. You'd like to think that he could win that battle, but here comes Mike Mihalik to help out if he needed it. And Payton elevates and knocks the ball down, and now with the incompletion on 2nd down, have forced a field goal opportunity.
Payton's been playing on a tender ankle for a number of weeks now and hasn't seemed to have been himself. Troy Westwood from 41 yards out, and he puts it through, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have their first lead of the afternoon. 10 of the points have come off Montreal interceptions. The Winnipeg defense has come up big after a slow start today, and you've talked about it earlier. There are the improved stats over the last 5 games that coincide with the return of Shante Peoples to the lineup.
No, Shante Peoples leads his team in tackles, sacks, tackles for loss, and he missed 4 games. And like you said, Chris, it mirrors how they've improved over the last 5 games, and that's really how Coach Reinbold would like to see this defense judged, on how they've improved since they've gotten their people back.
And with Shante Peoples on one side, Grant Carter on the other, those two seem to complement each other well. Mike Pringle battling for yards, but they've been hard to come by. Brad Elberg comes up with the football and says he has another takeaway, but the whistle had blown. But that's something this Winnipeg defense wasn't doing earlier, taking the football away.
I think that's something that every offense would like, is to have the short field, and they produced the short field twice for their offense today. When Winnipeg, they were last in the league in takeaways coming into the ballgame.
Grant Carter, all CFL, and the Bombers haven't been able to use that statistic all year long, but they've had great field position today. Here's Ham, and Ham diving for a first down as he had to pull it down and put a little more pressure on that Winnipeg D.
Well, like all veteran quarterbacks, if you see your offense becoming stagnant, you go to a no-huddle operation, which is what Tracy Ham did here. He knew he was in a passing set. He locked the defense into maybe a certain call, and then this is only one other guy maybe in the league that's done it that well, in Damon Allen.
It's almost as if that opening drive for Montreal was too easy. And now Ham over the middle, incomplete, as Shante Peoples was bringing the rush.
Well, we're going to roll this through and show you Shante Peoples. We're going to freeze it about halfway too. Shante Peoples, number 56, is looping through the middle. He's doing such a great job of coming through. Here's Peoples. Well, we didn't get to see it from the end zone, but that's the shot where Peoples is flying through inside. Okay, Shante Peoples is right here. He's going to go right through the center. He's lining up over the ball and making the play.
Tracy Ham looking deep for Chris Armstrong, and Armstrong can't make the catch. Robert Davis, the safety, was in coverage, and Armstrong got a hand on it, and now he's been shaken up.
Well, Chris Armstrong has had a super year this year. This is good coverage from Robert Davis, but it's a super throw. The ball just over Davis's hands, and Davis was able to blur the vision just a bit. Armstrong wasn't able to come up with the catch.
Terry Baker punting to Dexter Dawson. 26-yard line. Here's the reverse. Milt Stiegel gets a block, and Milt Stiegel has a wide open field past Terry Baker, and still going, finally caught from behind as the Bombers are pulling out the stops. A 48-yard return. Milt Stiegel taking that reverse from Dexter Dawson. Well, that won't help Terry Baker's net punting average, but he made a pretty good play to prevent a touchdown here.
He really does. Dawson fakes like he's going left, and here comes Milt Stiegel, the speed guy, on the reverse, but Terry Baker actually slows Stiegel down right there and allows the rest of the troops to get back into the play.
Bruno Heppel finally brought Stiegel down. There was a penalty late in the return that brings it back to the Montreal 52, but this is the 3rd consecutive drive which Winnipeg has started from Montreal territory. Ronald Williams, and Giddings brings him down after a short gain. Here's Mark.
Well, Chris, I just had words with the sack master, Alfred Payton, here on the Montreal bench. He was grousing to me about the fact he hasn't had a sack in 6 games. I asked him why. He said he's getting more double-teamed. As Dave mentioned earlier in this broadcast, he said teams are also getting rid of the ball much quicker, shorter drops. And, of course, he's been optioned a lot, especially in games against the Argonauts.
So what you're saying is he's in a nasty mood. 2nd and 8. Vargas from the shotgun, and he's looking deep for Ted Long and overthrows the new receiver in the Winnipeg lineup.
Well, you'd have to credit Alfred Payton for a little bit of a pressure there, which made Vargas speed up the throw. I think if Vargas could have waited another count, he probably would have had Ted Long on the corner route, but Alfred Payton gets the good rip technique inside of Hendrickson, and although he does not get the sack, he puts the pressure on the quarterback, which, let me tell you, you have to get rid of it a little bit quicker than you'd like to. Your timing as your receivers come out of your routes, there's a time clock in your head and theirs that you'd like to wait till, and Alfred sped that situation up.
75 career sacks. I'm sure Alfred Payton's in your head as well as that time clock. Bob Cameron, and speaking of the time clock, no time count violation. There's still 3 seconds there. A procedure call instead.
Well, a blown opportunity by Winnipeg. Again, we talked about how they played with the short field, meaning pretty much from midfield on.
Legal procedure, Winnipeg, number 54, still 3rd down.
Wade Miller.
The super kickoff return by Stiegel cashes in no points. They get no points out of it.
Well, Wade leads the league in special teams tackles, and it's probably burning inside of him that Chris Wright has returned one today. He's anxious to get down there and make sure it doesn't happen again. 17-14, Winnipeg with the lead under 9.5 minutes to go, first half. And here's Wright. And look at that wave of blue this time. And Chris Wright's not going to escape. Here's Mark.
Chris, coming right up after today's football game, we invite you to join us for the 60th running of the Canadian International from Woodbine Racetrack in Toronto. Canadian entry, Chief Bearhart, second in this race 1 year ago, is the early favorite for a race that offers the winner $600,000 from $1 million purse.
Magnificent day here in Montreal. Expect the forecast similar in Toronto for that horse race today. And Greg Battle has put on quite a show this afternoon. Former teammate Alfred Payton is cooling his heels now on the sidelines as the Montreal offense goes to work. And to Pringle, and he's stopped in the backfield. Glenn Scribner's there, and Shante Peoples wasn't too far away either.
Glenn Scribner continues to amaze. The guy is nursing a bad knee, and he continues to play 100 miles an hour, and he's going head-to-head against Bruce Beaton, number 62, and he just runs right by Beaton. They had a draw play on. Beaton was trying to do the old slap and go, meaning he throws his defender to the outside and goes to the next level, and he just didn't get the job done.
Well, they've held Pringle in check in this first half. Here's Ham on 2nd and long in deep trouble. Tracy gets away from the initial wave, and now receiver open. Is it inbounds? Let's see. They're ruling it a catch for Jock Climby. 30-yard reception for Climby. And the Alouettes get out of a hole.
Well, you see how long Climby's working. He sees his quarterback's in trouble. Now he slides to an open area, starts waving the hand. Now watch him work his feet along the sideline. Oh, what a veteran receiver. He knew right where he was, never looked down, knew exactly where he was. You see, he never puts the head down. Goes right where the sideline is, drags the feet. Super play by Jock Climby.
Alouettes up to the 45-yard line. Mike Pringle, 6 carries, 8 yards so far today. Ham off his hip. Here's Climby again. Over midfield. That should be close to another first down. Shannon Garrett, the tackle.
Now they're using Mike Pringle the way you should use him. They're play faking to him, and everybody's concerned about stopping Mike Pringle, and Tracy Ham is pulling the ball out and dumping the ball off to his receivers. But Pringle's a guy you have to stop. He averages 138 yards a game against Winnipeg. He's averaging 105 against the rest of the league or throughout the season, but 138 against this Winnipeg defense. They're very concerned about 27.
First down, now Pringle. And he battles to the 50 and has 3. Shante Peoples again the tackle. Yes, 9 100-yard games for Mike Pringle this year. As you mentioned, Dave, 3 of them coming against the Bombers. The only team he's had more success against, the BC Lions.
Well, he's a guy that you can't be deceived by his small numbers in the first half, because he gets better as the game goes along. Colin Scribner, one of the Scribner brothers down. He's again been nursing some injuries throughout the season.
And while he gets attention, we'll take a timeout in Montreal. Well, Mike Pringle has broken the Alouettes singles season record, previously held by David Green.
Well, he's really been the model of consistency, too, as you see the record that he's shattered here for the Montreal Ball Club. But he had over 1,900 yards rushing a few years back. He's had a 1,700-yard year. And it's Colin Scribner climbing to his feet. These 2 Scribner brothers have really struggled through injuries all season long, and this time he's having to be helped from the field.
There's the tackle by Peoples, and he rolls into Scribner.
Yeah, he got rolled up, and that's the danger playing in that area down there. Just hope it's just a stretch. He's number 92. Colin Scribner working right there against Mark Dixon, but Shante Peoples, his own man, rolls him up. That's what that trench area is really tough.
Rob Robinson comes in, and down to 1 Scribner on that defensive line for Winnipeg. 2nd and 7 Montreal at the Bomber 50 with under 7 minutes to play first half. Ham for Armstrong, the catch and a first down out of bounds, escorted out by the safety Robert Davis.
Well, Davis is listed as the free safety on this team. They're bluffing, blitzing. You see Shante Peoples dropping back out, and Davis getting locked on Armstrong. I think that's a matchup that Tracy Ham would like to have all game long, to have the free safety locked on his top yardage receiver this season.
This Montreal passing offense rated just 7th in the league. And here's Ham with another strike inside the 20-yard line. And Armstrong comes up with another catch.
Well, these are big receivers. These 2 guys, Climby 6'1", Armstrong 6'2", and they do a great job of shielding the defender and giving a throwing lane to their quarterback. You see him, watch him shield the defender with his body and then cradle the ball in. That's just a good job. Yeah, Battle blitzing. You see Mike Pringle steps up and picks the blitzing Greg Battle, and the offensive line just very stout up front, gives Tracy Ham the ability to step up and throw the ball.
Armstrong 4 catches this afternoon, 61 yards. And the Alouettes driving to the 18. Ham 12 of 17 on the day. Going back to the air, looking into the end zone, low delivery, and was it picked off? It bounced off the carpet and into the hands of Carthon. Intended for Armstrong, incomplete.
Well, again, Tracy Ham skates outside the pocket. Armstrong is going to run an in route, which means he's breaking towards the middle of the field, and the ball a little underthrown, and the ball bounced up in Carthon's hands. Robert Davis wanted him to sell that a little more. He thought he could make the referee buy that if he took off running with it.
That was a late sell. Second and 10, Montreal. Ham in trouble, he's nailed. Big hit by Shante Peoples. Brad Elberg was coming on the safety blitz. Peoples got there first.
Well, they come after Ham again, and Peoples is the guy that benefits from the pressure, but the secondary also benefits because Chris Armstrong comes wide open, and Ham had more time. He didn't get it off. This is what a pressure package is supposed to do. Limit the quarterback's time. Elberg was free, and Peoples won against Neil Fort. Peoples 56 working against 66 Neil Fort. He just runs around the horn and makes a big hit. That's his 11th sack on the year.
He's second in the CFL, one now behind the leader, Alfred Payton. Terry Baker now, and Baker off the upright and in. Little bank into the side pocket for Terry Baker. And we're back to even here, 17-17, under 5 minutes to go. Jock Climbey is the former holder for Terry Baker. But Milt Coleman, for the first time, was the holder here, and he had to do some scrambling.
Yeah, he got it on the tee and got it down, and they hit the upright. It's going to kiss the upright. And I'll tell you what, our replay director, Mo Waters, is on the ball. Who says those guys don't know football downstairs, huh? Mo knows. He knows.
Here's Dexter Dawson. Spins away from the first wave and up to the 35. 17-yard return. Good football game. At 17 all tie. Here's Mark.
Chris, Colin Scribner is in considerable pain here on the Bomber bench. The training staff suspect he has suffered a pinched nerve in his left foot. He just told me that he was being cut under Tyrone Rogers, and his offensive lineman he was up against let him go. Otherwise, he said, my whole leg would have blown out. But right now, it looks pretty serious.
Whoops. A movement on the right side as Craig Hendrickson jumped.
You know, another thing that he's trying to adjust to is the cold there. He's got the ice strapped to his ankle. And
Winnipeg, number 59, still first down.
And some of the pain that he's experiencing is waiting for that area to numb up. I've had to put ice on.
All right.
Just told everybody back home he's going to be okay, but waiting for that area to numb up is also a painful experience. That ice strapped directly to the skin.
So they march it 5 back to the 30, first and 15. And Ronald Williams up the middle. Larry McSeed, rookie linebacker, meets him there. The Alouettes operating without Tracy Gravely today, missing his first game in 4 years because of an inner ear infection.
Now, we talked about how much people are concerned with Alfred Payton and taking him out of the play, and here's just a super job. Bruce Boyko got Payton off balance a little bit, and he just rode him right into the ground. Great block by the fullback.
Stephon Reed moves into the spot vacated by Gravely. Second and 10 after the 5-yard gain. Vargas going over the top and off the hands of Stiegel, incomplete.
You know, that's where I see a lot of quarterbacks make a mistake, is the fact that they try to lead the receivers down the field. The guy that, and we saw it yesterday in the game between Calgary and Toronto, how Doug Flutie throws the ball at his receivers. If they're covered tightly, a lot of times he'll throw the ball right at their back, and the play I'm talking about is maybe the throw to Paul Mazzotti for the touchdown. Mazzotti's covered real close by Eddie Davis, but he threw the ball right at his back and just allowed him to turn and make the catch. Ensure the catch first. Don't try to make the home run on every play. Flutie and his receivers do that so well.
Charles Gordon and Milt Stiegel have had a battle today. Chris Wright from his 36. And Wright, Wade Miller, Brandon Hamilton down to limit the return to 7. Well, it's been a good first half. Here's Jock Climbey, who opened the scoring. And then Chris Wright went to work.
Chris Wright is back on track as a returner, and that bodes well for Montreal going to the playoffs. He's been a factor in the playoffs in his career, and Milt Stiegel's been a factor all year long. Against Montreal, he's averaging over 27 yards a catch and just padding that stat today.
After a great battle interception, Ronald Williams on the second try put it in for the tying touchdown. They've exchanged field goals, and Chris Wright, I mentioned last week, was nicked. Bounced back, and he is hurt again out of Tracy Ham's alma mater, Georgia Southern. And Wright, a key weapon, and Dave Ritchie is telling Thomas Haskins, you better get ready because he might handle the return duties the rest of the afternoon. Well, Dave Ritchie looking on as Chris Wright is slowly making his way to the Alouette bench. And in the Alouettes' position in the standings with second place secure and nowhere to go, you just want to get through these last 2 games injury-free. 3:05 to go. First half, and Tracy Ham airing it out for Armstrong, who looked one way and then had to turn the other. Robert Davis, the safety, was in coverage. And we've come to the 3-minute warning at the Olympic Stadium. First half in a 17-all tie.
Well, we talked about how they'd like to get Chris Armstrong isolated against Robert Davis. We're going to run this about halfway through and freeze it right now, guys. He's expecting the ball thrown over in this area. He's running a corner route. The ball goes back to the inside. He's got no shot at it. And that's because of the pressure of Shante Peoples.
So it's 2nd and 10, Alouettes. Ham looking that side again, and Nigel Williams unable to bring it in. He's the only receiver in the package yet to bring in a reception today. Coming up at halftime, we'll look at Jock Climby this season, and certainly a top Canadian candidate on the year, and we'll analyze what's been a real good first half at the Big O.
That's well played. The people in Winnipeg have to be proud of a team that comes in and has absolutely no shot at any postseason play, has come in and played a team that many consider have a chance to go to the Grey Cup.
Baker punting it away on 3rd down. Dawson from his 20. Dawson. Dexter Dawson now cutting back, and a big tackle there by Mike Souls, who is running in the bank. And a 24-yard return that could have been a whole lot worse.
Oh, what a huge tackle by Michael Souls. Just great running by Dexter Dawson. He has a 92-yard punt return for a touchdown this season, and he made happen against Saskatchewan. Watch him go north and south right there. Make Hincey Charles miss, and now it's all Michael Souls. What a great open field tackle, because the only person left is Terry Baker. That is just a super effort by Michael Souls.
He almost got caught leading, but recovered nicely with a saving tackle. Up at the 45-yard line, Vargas out of the shotgun. 2.5 minutes to go. Ted Long, his first Bomber catch, and spins for the first down into the Montreal side of the field. Irv Smith the tackle.
Ted Long, what a great addition. He's been banged up this year, was in Hamilton for his early part of his career, but now new chance to get things going with Winnipeg, and he's going to become a featured receiver for this team for the years to come.
First down, hurry-up offense. Vargas ducked under Alfred Payton that time. And Alfred's going to be upset with himself after that. Chance at a sack. Joseph Rogers the catch. Number 13 has been an elusive sack for Alfred Payton.
Well, he's been close a couple of times. What a super block by Ronald Williams to step up and hit Rashid Giddings in the face.
Here's Vargas, John Graham, and Graham tackled immediately by Irv Smith. Tried to stretch out for the first, and he's going to be short. So 2:03 to go. They're in Montreal territory, and Jeff Reinbold has a decision to make.
Yeah, Alfred Payton is a search and destroy guy, trying to find Vargas, struggling, and Coach Reinbold's offensive line is really working well against the top sack man in the league. Had 22 sacks in 1993 in an all CFL season.
3rd and 2. Vargas short drop, and Charles Gordon with the defensive play, and now the flag comes down. Boy, I thought so. Joseph Rogers was bumped by Gordon, and it took a while for the marker to appear. It didn't look like a high percentage play, 3rd and 2.
Well, what they were looking for was a rub to allow Rogers to get clean to the outside.
Forward pass interference. Montreal, number 25. First down, Winnipeg.
They were hoping Milt Stegall would rub the cover guy off of Joe Rogers, but Gordon and Nash switch. And he switches out to Joe Rogers and makes the hit before the ball got there. Boy, it's an awful close play.
So Gordon, an all-Canadian, last year called on the interference down to the 36-yard line. First down, Ronald Williams. And he has maybe 2. Swift Birch there to meet him. 1:37 now left. And Vargas looking to the bench for help.
You know, we talk about pass protection. Look at Ronald Williams, 25, stepping up in there and hitting Rashawn Giddings. Those are the kind of things that the big Ronald Williams at running back give you, and he's really helped Vargas out in the first half blocking.
Second and long for Vargas. And he has a receiver, Joseph Rogers, with another catch. And Rogers has a first down at the 24.
Well, they realize when they're putting 3 receivers to the wide side of the field that the 2 halfbacks are switching it off. If one goes inside, one goes outside. So this time they run the 2 receivers off and allow Rogers to break to the outside, and he's clean. Good throw by Vargas, good call.
Vargas trying to restore a Winnipeg lead here before the half. And Alfred Payton has Vargas back at the 30-yard line. And he's been waiting to do that.
Well, we talked about Alfred Payton. He's been going hard every play, and he finally gets number 13 with a little assist from Swift Birch. And the swack dance.
Well, nobody bought the play-action fake to Williams that time. Second and 16, Vargas. Long, unable to bring it in. And we got a little pushing Doug Peterson involved. Joe Pow frustrated. That promising drive will end. And now a field goal opportunity.
Well, Chris Vargas is kicking himself because he realizes that Ted Long had been dropped in coverage and was wide open. And he just threw the ball too tall. You see him beating himself on the helmet. He realizes he missed an open receiver that might have been able to pick up the first down for him.
36 seconds to go, and Troy Westwood with a chance to put Winnipeg back in front. Bob Cameron puts it on that tee, and Westwood right through the middle. And the Bombers have a 20-17 lead. Half minute to go. Here's Mark.
Chris, next week the CFL on CBC will go east first. The Hamilton Tiger Cats will play the Edmonton Eskimos, and of course that wild race in the West likely to be decided on the final weekend of the regular season. And then on the final game we will do before playoffs Sunday at 1. It's the Battle of the East, the Argos and the Alouettes, who could well meet in the East final.
They went at it last week. It was 28-21 Toronto. A late touchdown by the Alouettes made it look a little closer, but that was a ferocious battle. Here's Pringle trying to get outside. Mike Pringle with his best carry of the game. Brad Elberg the tackle.
And the game was actually 7-6 at the half. You know, talking about the Toronto-Montreal matchup. So that one blew open in the second half with a couple of mistakes. Johnny Harris with a big play, an interception return to set up, maybe sealed the game.
And Pringle slowed up in that game with the initial injury that he's playing through even this afternoon, the rib cartilage injury. 2nd and 2 after 8 yards for Pringle, and Mike Pringle gets a lot more there. Yeah, it was a punishing day. Mike Pringle gives out more than he gets, but on this day there were some big monster hits. Ray Bernard on Mike Clements was the highlight reel job. Andre Kerwin.
And that's what you would expect from those two teams. They've been the best in the East and 2 of the best in the league.
Now 10 seconds left. The Alouettes have called a timeout, and they're one completion away from getting in field goal range. So Grant Carter wants to confer with Mike Roach on the sidelines. I mean, how does Dave Ritchie play it next week against the Argos? Do you try and pull out all the stops to give the Argos something to think about and give your team a little more confidence after a couple of blowouts earlier in the year?
It will be their third matchup, so I don't think there's any secrets between the two teams. So you just play it straight up.
Here's Ham scrambling. Davis in pursuit, and Tracy can only get to the 50 before stepping out. Well, Terry Baker, 57 yards. Well, it won't matter because Ham ran out of time. Then the gun goes to end the first half. A good one that sees the Winnipeg Blue Bombers up by a field goal after trailing by 14.
The Bombers and Alouettes true to form as they've been all season long. Another good one with the Bombers leading by a field goal at the half. Well, Montreal slotback Jock Climie has impressive academic credentials. He's a great receiver, too. Another 1,000-yard season for him and making a good case for the top Canadian award in the CFL. He was thinking of beginning his law career this year, but he's put that all on hold because there's still one thing that eludes him, a Grey Cup. Here's Caroline Corey.
Tough to imagine football players as Renaissance men? Well, think again. Number 82 for the Montreal Alouettes is no ordinary jock. Not only does he score touchdowns, but he also plays a mean guitar, is a seasoned globetrotter, and beyond football has secured his future in a profession that takes only the brightest and best. One day, Jock Climie will be approaching the bench, and for once it won't be filled with sweaty teammates. His plans are to become a full-time lawyer.
I think walking away from football will be easier than for me than maybe for most people, just because I have another area to go into. I have something that's going to fill my days, allow me to continue to be competitive. Everybody's first reaction to the fact that I have all these different facets to my life is wow, that must be incredibly difficult. And I've always maintained it's really the easiest thing in the world because I have so many things to occupy me and so many diverse interests that I never get bored.
While in relaxed mode this past offseason, Climie wasn't sure if he'd return for an 8th season. Perhaps now he was ready for life after football.
I went off traveling and saw a little bit of the world and just relaxed and tried to forget about football and forget about the season and just try to find in my heart what it is I wanted to do. And I came back from traveling and decided that you know that you're only young once, and I should probably give it one more go around, one more shot at the Grey Cup.
Climie's used to adversity. He's been a bright spot on some pretty poor teams in the past. Now that he's an Alouette, he still puts up the big numbers, but he's no longer the lone star.
There are so many people on offense who deserve the ball, and you got Mike Souls, Mike Pringle, Chris Armstrong, myself, and Tracy Ham, of course, who can run the ball. All of us want it all the time, and unfortunately we can't all get it.
One thing Climie has yet to get is a Grey Cup appearance. I think that would make him happiest.
Sometimes it kills me, you know. It's my 8th year in the league, and I haven't even been to a Grey Cup, and I can tell you, there's just with the amount of player movement you see in the CFL, there's not many guys that have played as long as I have that never been to a Grey Cup, and that just eats away at me like I can't even describe it.
So Climie keeps coming back for more. The last couple years, he's finally been on a winning football team, so it wouldn't make sense to give up now.
Music, law, pro football. He's a talent, and he's got one of the touchdowns in the first half on this 10-yard pass from quarterback Tracy Ham. Jock Climie's Alouettes trail by a field goal at the half. The Bombers and the Alouettes continue to be evenly matched here with a field goal separating them at the half, Winnipeg on top. Well, reaction to our plans to show the classic Grey Cup contest of all time has been overwhelming.
We have received more than 4,000 votes. We've picked a top 10. We're asking you, the fans, to choose, to narrow them down to 5. As I mentioned, more than 4,000 votes, the most so far going for the '89 Cup game, the 43-40 beauty between Saskatchewan and Hamilton. And most of the votes have come so far from Saskatchewan, coincidentally, 25%. There's the address. You can either vote by mail or by the internet. And we'd love to hear from you. It's amazing. One of the votes came in, guys, from a pharmacist. He wrote it up on a prescription form, so he's eager to see who he can get into the contest. How about you, Chris? Who you picking?
I want to see 68. I grew up watching Russ Jackson and Ronnie Stewart and Whit Tucker and those great players, Margene Atkins, Vic Washington. So I got to vote in for them.
Dave, I know you're partial to that Snow Bowl last year.
Yeah, I thought it was a great game, but I'm looking forward to just sitting in my room in Edmonton and watching all 5 that are selected. I haven't gotten to see a lot of them, so I'm looking forward to it.
Can't wait. They'll all begin, by the way, at midnight Eastern on CBC television. Okay, how about the first half? The Bombers rallying here.
Those fans that called the Winnipeg hotline should have been burning it up earlier, because they got this team playing pretty well.
They really do. Winnipeg has played well, but it looked like it might be a blowout early. Had an early touchdown pass, and then Chris Wright gets clean right up through the middle on a punt return, and really did some things that he's really starting to do well late in the year, and that really bodes well for this team, although he is banged up a little bit right now. But Winnipeg, resilient as ever, comes back, and here's their deep threat. Milt Stegall goes unchecked right down through the middle for a big touchdown, and that really turned up the rest of the team, Chris, because the defense seemed to respond, and the big guy, Shante Peoples, who leads his team in sacks, was getting it done after they came back with a couple of late touchdowns to build the lead.
Peoples was overpowering in the second quarter. I thought Greg Battles was outstanding in the first quarter.
All right, as we mentioned off the top, these teams evenly matched. The Bombers, though, hoping to prevent a season series sweep.
We're back in Montreal, getting set for the second half of the 4th meeting between these two teams this year. And the Alouette fans see their team down by a field goal as we check out the numbers in Montreal with a statistical edge, if not on the scoreboard.
Well, they're favored in every area there as far as the yards and things go, first downs, but the big number, the turnovers, and that's something Winnipeg has done pretty well this year, is taking care of the football. They've done it again today.
Well, let's check the game notes out. And so far, the Bombers have played with pride today in a game that really doesn't have much at stake in this year's standings, but may go a long way to next year's employment.
Yeah, I think the fans of Winnipeg have to be proud of the way their team has come out here and played. They've reflected that in their play, with Chris Wright being a little banged up.
That's the concern for Montreal. Well, here is Percival Molson Stadium on the campus of McGill University. Last time the Alouettes played here, 1972, and it does look a little rough around the edges, but it will be the site for the Eastern semi-final game, and there's a great deal of excitement here in Montreal because of that. There's the tree growing into through the seats, but it is a beautiful location, and a lot of feeling in the Montreal area that if they could get back downtown, a lot more fans would show up, and you were talking to some people that suggest it could be a big crowd there for that game.
Yeah, they're looking at selling that thing out, and they're going to have to fill in a few holes, as we saw from the clip in the stadium. But
cut down a few trees.
Make sure we don't lose some fans into the bowels of the stadium. But they've already scheduled several bus loads of fans going down there, and I really think that pulls the old fan back to the ballpark, the ones that used to go watch when they played there.
That will be in 2 weeks' time. Next week, Terry Baker and company will meet the Argos once again. Winnipeg's last game will be Friday against Saskatchewan. Here's Ted Long, and he's nailed at the 30-yard line after a 10-yard return. Chris Vargas leading the Bombers out on offense. The dog handling the tee.
Well trained.
Wasn't Leroy Selman there, was
it? Chris has been pretty workmanlike, has not turned the football over, as we alluded to, and he's gotten several people involved.
Bombers will start from their own 30-yard line. Ronald Williams up the middle for a short gain. One advantage Vargas had in the first half was outstanding field position for the most part. And at one point, he had 6 completions to 6 different receivers, and now Joseph Rogers has become the favored man with 2 catches.
Well, even though those guys all have just 1 catch, they all have seen the football, and that's so important. Make sure that everybody is involved offensively.
And a guy who was catching passes from David Archer last year. A tough season for him with injury problems and the like. Vargas, Stiegel, and Milt Stiegel up near midfield at the 53. Caught that one in front of Charles Gordon. And penalty marker down. Is that a roughing the passer call?
I think we might get a roughing the passer. Again, Charles Gordon opens the gate. Good job of Stiegel of snapping it up the field, setting Gordon up.
Major foul, roughing the passer, Montreal, number 50.
As you hear the penalty in the background, the roughing the passer penalty, but Rashad Giddings comes in and hits Vargas a little late, but a great route there by Stiegel. He snapped it up the field, got vertical, meaning heading straight down the field, which made Gordon think, hey, maybe this guy's going long. He turned his hips, and then he broke it across the field and opened up. Super throw from Vargas.
So Stiegel with 2 big catches in the game, the leading receiver in the CFL. First down, Bombers. Here's Dexter Dawson with the catch. And Dawson taken down by Gordon inside the 30. And the Bombers' offense is moving.
Well, a good, quick decision by Chris Vargas again. He made the good, quick decision to throw over the middle to Stiegel. This time, he play fakes to Ronald Williams, a little bootleg. Now, he sees it right now. So he's going to pop it out there. There's nobody out. The corner dropped off. Now Dexter Dawson, who is one of the top returners in this league, it turns into a punt return for him with a lot of room to move.
31 catches for Dawson on the year. 13 have come against his old team, the Alouettes. First down, Ronald Williams up the middle to the 25. He has 3.
Vargas checked off the line of scrimmage there, got to a play he felt like might give an opportunity to pop Williams free. Montreal's defense rallied to the call and held him to a 3-yard gain.
Joe Pow sends in the plays.
Joe Pow very much in control of what's going on the field. He even calls a lot of their no-huddle stuff.
2nd and 7. Vargas looks right. There's Ted Long making the catch. Good defensive play, however, by the newcomer to the secondary, Mark Washington. Brought Long down short of the first down.
Well, this is a big play by Mark Washington because they're going to bring Ted Long out of the backfield. This was an area where they were going to try to isolate Long on a linebacker, but they don't get it. Mark Washington comes up out of the secondary and makes a nice open field hit on Ted Long. Force a field goal opportunity.
Washington sees action as Torrey Hunter is out today with a slight hamstring. And the drive stopped short, setting up a Westwood 30-yard field goal attempt. And it's a fake. Bob Cameron will look back, and here's Westwood on the near side. He's got to get inside the 15, and does. Razzle-dazzle, and oh boy, Westwood pays a price. Troy Westwood was hammered by Douglas Kraft after a 14-yard gain. Get the first down and get out of trouble, but Kraft made him pay for that. Flag is down. Peyton appealing. Well, was Westwood out of bounds when the hit was delivered?
That's certainly what the referees feel was the case. He ran into our cart downstairs that has our sideline.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Montreal, number 17, first down, Winnipeg.
Well, Bob Cameron sets it down and fakes. Look like he's going to throw front side, makes a good fake, then throws it back. It's almost a screen set up for Troy Westwood. He's going to get a good block from Chris Perez right there. Now Westwood realizes he has the first down, and he's going to try to get to the sideline, and this gets muscled out of bounds. Watch the face mask. He gets up on the face mask right there. The hit was The body contact was pretty much clean. It started in the field of play, but it was the hand to the face that got flagged.
Douglas Kraft looked like he was upset that a kicker was getting the first down. And Troy's shaking it off. Not sure he's anxious to get that play called again soon.
Well, this is why they don't wear the single bar anymore on the face mask. He's wincing a little bit more from hitting the cart downstairs, but Ronald Williams trying to power it in behind this offensive line. Tom Europe right there at the point of attack to shove it back and force a second down from the 1.
Well, Winnipeg fans and maybe even Saskatchewan fans might remember Westwood scoring on a play like that a couple of years ago against the Rough Riders. His only CFL touchdown. Now it's 2nd and goal from inside the 2. And Ronald Williams looking for the end zone, and he's not going to get there. We'll have 3rd down. Well, he didn't get in by much the last time they were down in this area. And there's probably the best advice: get it in from the Winnipeg bench.
Well, the onus is on the big people up front to create something, a little movement for Ronald Williams, and they're not doing it. Rashawn Williams in again. Rashawn Giddings is in again to make a play. He's made his presence felt filling in at linebacker.
Well, let's find out what the get-it-in play is for the Bombers. Williams, right side, touchdown. Got it done.
Well, Giddings went up over the top and just missed Williams, and he just felt his way along the line of scrimmage until he felt a soft area and just fell forward for the touchdown. He's just going to come up in there, try to find a soft spot. He finally finds it, leaning to the right side, and gets in. He now leads the CFL in rushing touchdowns.
Here's Mark.
Chris, Troy Westman just told me he banged his tailbone on the concrete as he was drilled out of bounds on that fake field goal play. But he's no ordinary kicker. This guy is built, he works out, and in fact can bench press more than 250 pounds. He did get a bloody nose, he told me, probably because of that guard.
Well, Ronald Williams has his 2nd touchdown run of the year, set up by the Westwood play, and it's Winnipeg up by 10. 17-yard return by Coleman, and Troy's still feeling the effects of that big hit by Douglas Kraft. And Mark mentioned the cement, the concrete between the 10-yard line and the other 10-yard line. There is extra artificial turf, but inside the 10s, there's not much room out there, and you're going to land on concrete in a hurry. And Troy really has a heavy landing. Here's Mike Pringle. First carry, second half for Pringle, and he's spun around at the 43-yard line. Reggie Carthen, the tackle. Pringle wincing a bit. Remember, he has that rib problem. We've seen this all season long, though. Mike could be quiet for the first half, but he usually revs it up in the second half.
Yeah, second half usually belongs to Mike Pringle and his big offensive line, but I sense that Mike is running a little gingerly. He doesn't seem to be running with the reckless abandon that he's noted for. He's famous for, really.
2nd and a couple. Back to Pringle. He has a first. Nothing ginger about this, however. And Mike Pringle has his first big burst of the game. Nick Ferguson, a saving tackle. And the leading rusher in the CFL shows you why with a 29-yard run.
Well, even on this run, Chris, you can see him not accelerate. Here, Michael Soul's going to lead him through the hole on Grant Carter, just a super block. But watch Pringle now. This is a quick guy, but he just doesn't really seem to be striding out and accelerating. I really think the ribs are a problem, but again, this guy's a warrior. He's going to continue to play.
And another 100-yard game suddenly isn't out of reach. Tracy Ham goes to the air. Jock Climby has the catch. He'll step out in front of Carthon at the 24.
And all of a sudden, a little simple token play fake to Pringle, and now the receivers are open. This is the way the offense works. Things start happening. Ham just going to make a little token fake to Pringle, but it freezes everybody for just a second. Now it allows Climby to be all alone on the little out-breaking route.
This game a lot like that last meeting at Olympic Stadium between the two teams. Grant Carter play, and now Pringle tries the left side. Mike Pringle with more big room, and down to the 11-yard line for Pringle.
Well, we talked about how Mike Pringle likes to turn it on in the second half, and that's what he's doing. Even though he's banged up, he continues to fight and battle and scrap. We saw Michael Souls working one-on-one against Grant Carter on the last play. We saw the big block on the play where Pringle broke clean down through the middle, and Michael Souls kind of the forgotten man on this offense, as he's led Mike Pringle through a lot of the rushing holes, but really has not been a part of the offense this year.
First down from the 12. Ham looks over the middle, and it's a touchdown. Chris Armstrong.
Now, by that drive, you kind of get the feeling that these guys can turn it on whenever they feel like it. You know, that's really the way it looked. This looked like the opening drive of the game. The way Tracy Ham operated throwing the football, now he gets Pringle involved, and then a good throw, a good accurate throw to the inside, breaking Chris Armstrong for the touchdown. Ham again looking the safety off, which a veteran quarterback will do, and then the throw is right on target.
Like Armstrong was nicked on the right hip after the touchdown catch, his 10th of the year. Baker converts. Mike Pringle running big yardage on that drive, and they're back within a field goal. Well, you mentioned it, Dave. That drive looked easy. 5 plays, 76 yards, a lot like the opening drive of the football game for the Alouettes. Armstrong has his 10th touchdown of the season.
Coach Ritchie's got to feel that his offense can just turn it on when they want to. I'm sure he'd like to see him get the W here, but obviously to get out of the game healthy is the key.
27-24, Bombers with the lead. Ted Long with the return, and he takes a big hit. Well, let's take a look at that last drive for the Alouettes, and Mike Pringle was instrumental. 3 carries, 49 yards in the drive.
Well, they got Pringle involved running the football, and then Pringle going to go right up the middle behind Michael Souls in the big offensive line for another big run. Now the passing game gets involved. He gets Jacques Climby, and now he comes back with the look off. He gets Armstrong for the touchdown.
Well, you know, he could have taken the rest of the day off and no one would have argued. We thought Thomas Haskins would get some time, but he continues to be the Maytag repairman. Penalty brings it back to the 18-yard line, and is Long up near the 30. Ted Long with a first down catch as Vargas and Long combined to give Winnipeg some breathing room on offense.
This Winnipeg offense continues to mix things pretty well, Chris. They're using Ronald Williams when they need to try to keep the presence of the run, but we said at the beginning of the second half, everybody had 1 catch in the offense, and that was important. He's got everybody involved, and this Montreal defense is having to cover the entire field.
I want to ask you about the comfort zone that Vargas seems to have against Montreal. There's a carry that's for short yardage. Why is it? I mean, Montreal is, has a lot of named players on defense. It's a solid defense, but Vargas has had his best games this year against this particular defensive set.
Well, he just seems to feel good. Evidently, Coach Pow has a good feel as he's signaling into the plays. The Vargas has a good feel for getting him prepared for the game, but there's just games. I had them. There were games you feel good against certain defenses. You feel like you have a good feel for what they like to do. Subsequently, the ball comes out quicker. Your reads are quicker.
Second and long here, and Vargas, a completion to Williams, but he'll be well short of the first down at the 36. And again, we'll check in with Mark.
Chris, Bomber head coach Jeff Reinbold just circled the troops on defense and tore a strip off them with particular reference to Greg Battle. He told his veteran linebacker he's got to make a move across the linebacking zone and get those running backs. And Battle was making a case for himself, saying that he was blocked on the play, but it looked like his coach was not taking no for an answer.
Well, we'll follow 34.
Now, one of the things they tell linebackers, defensive coordinators say you cannot be blocked. And that's what a linebacker has to be.
And for a lot of years in this league, Greg Battle wasn't. Haskins dropped the ball, got it back again. Now a flag flies. Flags, penalty markers all over the field. I think somebody got a face mask. 45-yard punt, 3-yard return. We'll sort out the penalties when we come back. Well, Winnipeg's defense is back on the field. You heard from Mark Lee, so we'll be watching Greg Battle and see how he responds on this series after the Alouettes just marched easily up the field on their last drive.
Well, he must have had a tough series of downs based on the way they're looking at it from a defensive standpoint, but the guy has played solid all day long. He's been in a lot of plays. He has the interception that set up a touchdown. He really has played a solid ball game, really has had a solid year for this defense. So he evidently got blocked a couple times, and Jeff Reinbold took exception to it.
And maybe he's the lightning rod for the whole defense as its leader. There we go. Tracy Ham rolls and fires to the left side. Mill Coleman with the catch near the first down marker in Winnipeg territory.
This is where being a veteran quarterback is so important, or having a veteran quarterback is so important. Tracy Ham realizes that they probably huddled on the sideline and said, hey, we've got to stop Mike Pringle. We sealed him up in the first half. We have to stop him. This play fakes to Pringle. Everybody goes towards Pringle, and he throws himself a 10-yard completion, moves the chains.
There's Pringle. And Mike Pringle down to the 45-yard line. Shante Peoples on the tackle that time. He's checking down there. Like Scribner was back in the game.
See Shante Peoples continuing to play at a high level. He comes from the backside, runs Pringle down from behind. That's about the only way he could get in on that play. He's come all the way around the horn and make the play.
2nd and 4. Ham gets it away, and Armstrong unable to bring it in. So it'll be 3rd down for the Alouettes as the Winnipeg defense toughens up. And after that injury in the first half, Colin Scribner is back in the game, and let's go back to Mark.
Chris, the Bomber team doctor says that Scribner indeed suffered a pinched nerve and some numbness in his ankle, but with ice treatment over the half, the feeling came back. He's taped up and can play the second half.
I did a double take out there. I thought, there's 92. What's he doing back out there? Looked like his day was done.
Those are two tough guys. Colin and Glenn Scribner play as hard as they can all the time. As long as they can give you all they can give you, they do it.
Terry Baker on 3rd down. Angles the punt, trying to kick it out of bounds, and that's a perfect punt. It'll go out right at the pylon. Wow. You can't do it better than that. 45 yards. And they'll mark it at the 1.
Well, look for where the football hits the ground. If we can see it, no question about it. Bounces on the out-of-bounds line at the half-yard line. Good call by the referee. He has it marked properly at the 1-yard line. Now, what a super punt.
If it hit the pylon, it would have been a point, which was not the intention of Terry Baker. He wanted to back them up, and he's got them right against the wall here. They've enjoyed great field position all day long, but the Bombers starting at their 3:03 to go, 3rd quarter. Vargas trying to air it out, looking for Ted Long. Remember, Chris Vargas hit Milt Stiegel here at the Olympic Stadium on a play that started at the 5-yard line, and Stiegel took it 105 for a touchdown.
Well, he had the fade route on, which means bump and run coverage from the corner. Long's just going to release straight up the field. He's going to try to fade him to the sideline with a high arcing throw. I don't think he had enough arc on the ball to allow Long to adjust to it, and it's tough to throw it on a line on that throw and make a completion.
2nd and 10. Vargas with time goes to Stiegel, and he's up to the 20-yard line.
Well, time is the key here, Chris. You explained it exactly right. He had to have time to allow Stiegel to get into the zone, find an area. You see, there's the jam by Gordon. He's going to let him come inside. And he had the time, as you said, to get the ball to Stiegel.
Working behind that offensive line that's been called the strength of the Bombers. Stiegel, 3 catches, 90 yards, and the touchdown today. Vargas went to Dawson, cut it back, and he is jarred. Ball came loose, and Douglas Kraft has the fumble recovery. Dexter Dawson loses the football, and it's back in the hands of the Alouette offense.
This is the exact reason why once you catch a ball outside the numbers, you should spin to the sideline and not go back into traffic. It's the same play Vargas read earlier where he saw Dawson right now. He's going to pop him with the ball because the corner falls off. Now Dawson should spin back this direction. Instead, he goes back to where all the big guys are coming from. And Hips comes in and puts the big lick on him and creates the first turnover of the game for Winnipeg. There's nothing but danger back in there. Gordon wraps him up, and then the big guy Hips with the big lick on the football.
Tom Hips, 6'5", 240, unloaded, and now Ham, under pressure, escapes, and he'll have to pull it down, and Tracy's down to the 18-yard line. It was just the 8th fumble surrendered by the Bombers offense this year. They haven't been bad at hanging on to the football, but Dexter Dawson's had a tough time here at the stadium. That 1-point win by Montreal came after Dawson had one bounce off his chest into the hands of a defender in the dying seconds of the game.
Yeah, at the Montreal 10-yard line. This time, Tracy Ham improvising as he does is probably better than anybody in this game. You probably have to throw Doug Flutie's name and Damon Allen's name in that category, but he's certainly has to be considered one of the best. He creates so many more opportunities for an offense when things break down, as Dexter Dawson has to be having a little deja vu, as you suggested, Chris.
Almost a free down for Ham here, 2nd and inches.
Yeah, play fake to Pringle would probably give an opportunity to throw it. But he hands the Souls instead.
They'll play it safe. I was going to say, us armchair guys, we'd love to see them throw the football in that situation. I don't know if that's the best percentage, but it makes for the best entertainment sometimes. And Souls with a rare carry has the first down, and Colin Scribner's back down again.
Oh, and Tracy Ham was waving towards the sideline too, so this one everybody knew about.
Yeah, that numbness just went away. Well, it's been a battle, 27-24. Winnipeg with the lead in the final minute of this 3rd quarter. Second last game for Winnipeg. And we're going to check in with Mark.
Well, coming right up, Chris, after this exciting football game, we'll take you to Woodbine Racetrack in Toronto for the 60th running of the Canadian International. It's 1.5 miles for $1 million purse. And you're now looking live at Woodbine in Toronto on what should be a glorious day for the thoroughbreds on the turf.
So that follows the football game. Colin Scribner continues to get attention. I don't know if that's an aggravation of the previous injury or not. Tough afternoon.
And bet on him being back in the ball game. That's just the way the Scribner brothers are. They play as hard as they can, and when they go down, they go out, take a break, come back in. They're tough individuals.
So the Alouettes have a first down. Ball just inside the 15. And here's Ham, that toss. Pringle, room, and touchdown. Mike Pringle, 15-yard scamper. And Alouettes are back on top.
And Chris, the guy that gets the key block on this play is Jock Climby. It's an option play to the short side of the field, and Climby makes a great block on the linebacker, which allows Ham to pitch the ball to Pringle and get him outside. And then, of course, once he gets ahead of steam, nobody's going to stop him at the goal line. That was a pretty easy jaunt for Pringle. You see him smiling as he runs out the field. That's as easy it gets for him.
And with that carry, he gets closer to his 10th 100-yard game of the year. 97 yards for Pringle. The bulk of them in the second half. Jock Climby delivering the block. And when Pringle spots an opening.
Well, the block is on Greg Battle, but here's Nigel Williams blocking downfield, and it's all about everybody blocking. He goes in pretty much untouched. Just an option play, option off Peoples. Peoples is drawn to the quarterback and then the pitch, and you'd hope that your linebacker, your corner, is scraping to make the play. You'll see Climby 82 come in right inside and make the block. And then Nigel Williams blocking on Brandon Hamilton. Let's look at Jock Climby. He's going to come in, he's going to get a piece of Greg Battle right there. Battle's job is to scrape to the outside and take the pitch back. Because of the Climby block, nobody there to take the pitch back, and it's a nice little walk for Mike Pringle.
Dozen touchdowns for Pringle.
That was for you, Isaiah. Love you.
What a season he's had. And, I guess Winnipeg has to be thankful that he isn't 100% today, because he has been a force, even not at 100%. Tedlaw spins up to the 37, and we're going to check back in with Mark.
Chris, here's the latest on Colin Scrivener. We told you about his injured left ankle in the first half. He just told me he was trying to compensate by putting most of his weight on his right knee, and now that's hurt. He said, I can't take 500 pounds on one leg.
I'll play until he dies.
What did he say? He'll play till he dies?
I don't know, but yeah, I think he said I'll play till I die, and I believe me. I don't bet on him not being back in the game. You know, special teams guys don't get much credit. Here's Ray Bernard. Watch this. His job is to break up the wedge. He just ate up 3 blockers on that play.
Ray Bernard high steps down that field on kick coverage. Ted Long battling his way up to midfield on the final play of the third quarter. Well, it's been a seesaw battle back and forth. Winnipeg led by 10, but as we go to the fourth quarter, they're behind by 4 to Dave Ritchie's Alouettes. After 45 minutes, here are the Canadian Tire statistics on the game.
Now, Winnipeg would have liked to have run the football more. They still have a quarter of football to go, and this game very much in doubt, but they've been held in check. And you see on the other side, 150 yards rushing. Pringle now cranking things up.
A couple of times today, Ronald Williams has gone in from the 1-yard line for touchdowns. And coming back from a 10-point deficit, the Alouettes have a touchdown pass to Armstrong, and the run by Mike Pringle into the end zone. And now Winnipeg trying to answer right back. Chris Vargas delivers the football high to Joseph Rogers. It'll be 2nd and 10 as the Bombers start this final quarter at midfield.
And Chris talking to himself a little bit. He realizes he's close. He's close on making a few plays, but you see the difference in the 2 halves. Winnipeg lived on half the field, and now they've had to play the whole field in the second half, and they find themselves behind.
Passing situation here, 2nd and 10. And trouble with the shotgun, and Vargas just has to eat the football. Low snap, and Vargas couldn't find the handle.
Dave Van Conen's snap is right on the ground, or right near the ground, and that's a tough one for a quarterback to handle because the quarterback's bailing out. As they're backpedaling out of there, really nothing to do for Vargas but just make sure they don't turn it over in midfield and can continue to play the field position game. But that's a tough break. They had good field position, didn't cash it in.
Bob Cameron on 3rd down. Try to pin the Alouettes deep. Haskins from the 14. Straight ahead to the 20. And again to the sidelines. Mark Lee.
Chris, here's our big lineup in prime time on CBC television. Beginning with the wonderful world of Disney at 5 Eastern. Then at 7, it's the all-new Wind at My Back. 15 years of Just for Laughs, and then, to cap it all off, the life and times of Robert Bateman, coming up tonight on CBC television.
And of course, coming up following our game, the big horse race from Woodbine. A seesaw battle here today at Olympic Stadium. Mike Pringle looking for a 100-yard game, and he'll have it with that carry for the 10th time this season. Mike Pringle, 100 yards or more. That's another Alouette record.
No, Greg Battle makes the play on this, but he looks like he's body surfing because he just kind of climbs on this boogie board named Mike Pringle and rides the wave as it goes downfield, and finally the wave ties out and he can get up off the ground.
Alouettes are riding that wave in the second half. Souls pounded inside, 2nd and 2. And did Souls get there?
We alluded to it a little bit earlier as they're going to measure to see if Michael Souls was able to pick up the first down. And the fact that, why is Michael Souls not a part of this offense this year? He had 8 touchdown receptions last year, has none this season, just 1 touchdown rushing this season. So just really the forgotten man.
Yeah, we talk about Pringle and all those 100-yard games. Souls doesn't have 100 yards on the season yet.
But when you start crediting Mike Pringle with the 100-yard games and the now over 1,700, closing in on 1,800 yards rushing, you have to give credit to Michael Souls. He's made so many blocks. Even tonight, we've seen some big blocks, but it's been all year long.
Mike Pringle with a record-tying performance here. 10th 100-yard game of the season. Robert Mims did it in 1991. And now Jock Climbing has a first down catch up at the 45. Well, you're right, Dave. Michael Souls doesn't have the big yards, but he's instrumental. We've seen Climbing spring Pringle loose today, and this offense is all built around number 27.
Well, they're tough to defend when Mike gets rolling, and which is most of the time, but he allows Tracy to play action pass, which is very tough on defenders to combat.
Pringle, right side, and this time brought down by Brad Elberg. And Elberg favoring the right arm or shoulder after that tackle. So Brad Elberg getting attention, and we'll take a timeout at the Big O. Brad Elberg, kind of an unusual injury. He was in a great deal of pain, now going off under his own power. Makes the fine tackle on Pringle. Gets up, looks like everything's okay, and then
grabs the arm, and he was kind of limping off. Don't know whether he cramped up or got the arm twisted. That's a human muscle right there. The guy's complete muscle.
Here's Tracy Ham on 2nd and 10, looking deep for Armstrong, who's got it at the 35. Armstrong catching that in front of Shannon Garrett. 30 yards on the game.
Well, Winnipeg has a habit of leaving the middle of the field open. This time, Armstrong and Ham take advantage. Free safety Sammy Brennan was up in coverage, which left Garrett one-on-one with the 6'2" Armstrong, and he goes up and makes a nice catch against pretty good coverage. Yeah, I always have to have time. Uzo Okeke working on Grant Carter.
First down, Alouettes. Here's Haskins in for Pringle, who left the game after the Elberg tackle. And Haskins runs hard down to the 29, kind of in the Mike Pringle build, 5'8", 175. And that was his preseason effort against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and he's been biding his time ever since.
I asked Dave Ritchie who would play if Mike Pringle went down or Mike Pringle decided he couldn't play, and he immediately whirled around and said Haskins is going to play, and he really is excited about this kid. So Mike's giving him an opportunity to get in there and play a little bit.
5 yards for Haskins, 2nd and 5. Top rushing team of the CFL doing it again today. Ham just unloaded and hit the deck, intending that pass for Jock Climbing. And we're now told that Brad Elberg had the wind knocked out of him, but he'll be back.
What a nice route by Climbing, and good coverage by Shannon Garrett. You saw him start him to the inside, which meant the defensive back had to respect him going straight up the field, and then he snapped it to the outside to give Ham a throwing lane, but pressure didn't allow Ham to get the ball out there with any accuracy.
3rd and 5, so Baker on to attempt a 37-yarder. His other field goal today. Nick, the upright, went through. This one, he makes no mistake. And the Alouettes increase their lead. It's a full touchdown now. Chris Cuthbert, Dave Archer, Mark Lee, and the CFL on CBC crew at the Olympic Stadium. Tracy Ham has engineered a second-half comeback. They were down by 10, but now have a 7-point lead on the Bombers with 9:33 to play.
And both teams are playing extremely hard, as if it were a playoff-type situation. Both teams have come and brought their game and playing with a lot of pride.
4th good game between these two teams this year. Ted Long over the 40, setting it up for the Winnipeg offense. And I think any thoughts of Raymond Filia coming in have been put aside. Is Mike Pringle done for the day? That's the question. He still wants 2,000 yards on the season.
Yeah, was he looking at just the 10th 100-yard game? Is that what was he looking for? Or was he looking to get himself in position to maybe eclipse 2,000? He would need to pick up another 50 or 60 yards and put himself in position to realistically have a chance. Of course, he's facing the tough Toronto defense this week.
He's 225 yards away now, so you'd think he'd need at least another big chunk this afternoon. Ted Long got a chunk and more into Montreal territory. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers give you the impression that this seesaw battle is going to continue a little longer.
Well, they continue to mix things. They're running the football, they're throwing the short pass, and they're throwing the screens. You see everybody off defensively, which allows them to throw the screen underneath. The line gets out in front. Ted Long hits it up in there for a nice pickup.
18 for Long in his Winnipeg debut. 5 catches, 60 yards. First down at the 52. Vargas unloading deep, looking for Joseph Rogers, and the flag flies as he got tangled with Harold Nash.
Well, no question about the call, Chris. Vargas was a little underthrown, which allowed the penalty to take place. Right down here
Montreal
is Joe Rogers. You see the ball is underthrown, but Nash doesn't know where the ball is, so he continues to run. Rogers is trying to gear down to make the catch. The collision takes place. It was initiated by the defensive back. You have the penalty.
Alouettes have given up the most penalty yards this season. That was a 42-yard penalty on Harold Nash. It takes the ball to the 10. Ronald Williams bounces off and drops the ball, and it's picked up. And it's Tom Europe going all the way. Ronald Williams trying to catch him, and Europe baiting him for the touchdown. 97 yards. Europe takes the Williams fumble and goes the length of the field.
I had a chance to speak with Tom Europe before the game, and this is something he's had a knack for, creating turnover opportunities for his team late in ball games. In week 12, these two teams faced, and it was a Tom Europe interception off a deflection that ended the game and sealed a one-point victory. The week later, he intercepts a pass against Saskatchewan in their own end zone to seal a late victory. And again, here late in the ball game, a fumble recovery by Tom Europe in the return may have sealed this one for Montreal.
Stop the show. You drop the damn ball, I'll kill you. You understand? Just run it in the end zone like a professional. Okay.
Well, Dave Ritchie gave Tom Europe the word, and Ron Williams is the loneliest man at the Big O.
I'll tell you, well said by Coach Ritchie. Just get the ball in the end zone like a professional. Act like you've been there before. And you see Ronald Williams wandering back to his bench.
He took the long way home, Ron Williams.
And you really have to like the way Dave Ritchie approached that situation with Tom Europe. Immediately got Tom Europe off to the side and said, listen, that's not the way we play football here in Montreal. Super play to get the ball in the end zone for us, but act like you've been there before. And I applaud Dave Ritchie for that.
Yeah, he's a no-nonsense guy, but Dave Ritchie has been and is a pro in every sense of the word as a coach in this league. Not the most glib interview at times, but he's direct and well respected. And Tom Europe is certainly one of the great disciples of Dave Ritchie. I'm sure that message was received loud and clear. Extra point's good. Tom Europe's.
Well, Stephon Reed gets in on the run. Number 47, Reed's going to create the fumble. There he reaches in with the hand. Ball bouncing clean, and Tom Europe, who's always on the spot, outruns everybody for the touchdown. And this is the area where Coach Ritchie's alluding to. See, holding the ball back, taunting Ronald Williams, just get the ball in the end zone. Coach Ritchie addressed that, and I guarantee you'll never see that again from Tom Europe.
Let's find out how that ball came loose. Looked like it was stripped maybe by Stephon Reed.
Yeah, Stephon Reed got the hand in, stripped it out of there. And Europe goes 90, what would we say, 97 yards for the touchdown.
George Goody telling me it's the first touchdown of Tom Europe's career.
They certainly made a lot of plays for this defense as he's come back from being a late release by the Saints.
Boy, that picture's worth 1,000 words, isn't it? 7.5 minutes of play. A 14-point lead now for the Owls. Mark?
Well, Chris, I was within the earshot of Coach Dave Ritchie when he was talking with Tom Europe after that 97-yard fumble return for a touchdown. And Dave, you were bang on. He went nose to nose with his safety and said, that's not how we play football here. When you get the ball, you just run it into the end zone. Makes me think of a slogan an old-time sportscaster once said when he said, when you win, say little, when you lose, say less.
Well, Dave Ritchie said it all to Tom Europe, and well, what will the Winnipeg fans be saying after this one? Bombers have battled hard today, and it's not done yet. Here's Ted Long, and Long works his way out to the 36. That's the second fumble by the Bombers on the day. Dexter Dawson put one on the carpet in Montreal territory, and the fumbles have really not hurt Winnipeg this season, but they certainly have this afternoon.
Well, we talked at halftime how well they've taken care of the football, and cashing in turnovers are a big part of winning football games.
Ronald Williams might just skip the trip to Montreal next year. Bad things have happened here for him, although he does have a couple of touchdowns today.
And he'll be a major part of what happens if Winnipeg is to get back in this game. He'll be a major part of getting it back in.
41-27. Vargas has to play catch-up. And there is Ronald Williams. Lots of room. And Williams with a chance for redemption. Gets it back into Montreal territory, and it's Tom Europe who makes the stop.
Well, Ronald Williams is too big a part of this offense. They like to run the ball to him, but this is just a screen. Boyko out in front there. Good block on Doug Kraft. And again, Tom Europe has to come over and maybe save what might have been a touchdown run for Ronald Williams.
Ted Long, a catch in traffic, and he'll be stopped at the line of scrimmage. And Mark, what do you have for us?
Just had a word with Mike Pringle, Chris, here on the Alouette bench. He was wincing a little bit, the ribs a little bit tender, and so he will pull himself out of this football game with 6:17 to go and ticking. 105 yards means he needs 225 next week if he's going to get the 2,000.
It's like the jersey's coming off. Here's Vargas, dumps it off. Joseph Rogers got a block and got the first down. Out of bounds near that marker anyway. I think Mark Lee's the busiest guy on the field today.
Yeah, Mark Lee seems to have everybody's ear down there. He's talking to everybody. I'll tell you what, he probably has called a few of the defenses and offenses for Coach Ritchie also. Yeah, Joe Rogers, good run after the catch, but he gets a super block from Sean Graham there on Douglas Kraft. Allows him to pick up the first down.
Vargas just got it away, and Rogers makes the catch and just got down underneath that bridge, and Irv Smith is hurt on the play. That would be a big blow for the Alouettes. Outstanding corner, Irv Smith, and this is what the Alouettes can't afford in a game like today. 5:41 to play, fourth quarter, and a timeout.
Back at the Big O in Montreal, where the hometown Owls lead the Bombers 41-27 with 5:41 to go in the game. And indeed, Dave Archer, the Alouettes are in a talkative mood here on the bench, and a message just in from you from Tracy Ham, who says, tell Dave I should be in his business. He's still making more money than me.
Now there is a misconception of what we've got going, huh? Wow, Tracy's been fed some bad information.
Yeah, I put our checks together, and I don't think they'd match that big Alouette contract. Vargas swings it left side. Ted Long down to the 30-yard line. And that should be a first down for Winnipeg as they try to keep it alive here. Clock ticking down to 5 minutes, 10 seconds to go. And the Bombers down by 2 converted touchdowns.
And we have to say that Irvin Smith was able to get off the field under his own power, and looks like he's going to be okay. And in his place, Mark Washington will take over at the corner. So it looks like Irvin Smith will be okay and be available for this team next week and in the playoffs, which is a big point for them.
24 consecutive points for Montreal, and now Vargas trying to keep the Bombers going. This is a 3rd and short, and geez, I thought the forward progress had him the first down, but they let the play go, and Vargas gives us the signal. Let's see where the referees are going to spot it, though. They are going to move the sticks.
Yeah, Chris gets enough for the first down. And then evidently the referees wanted to see him take a couple extra licks, so they waited to blow the whistle.
Here's the first down throw, looking for Long, and that one was long by a couple of strides. The feeling, though, if Vargas has a little time with Ted Long, that might be a nice compliment to the Milt Stiegel target that he's had on the other side.
Oh, I think that's a great analogy. I think he will be a guy that's really going to dress up this receiver core. He, Joe Rogers, Milt Stiegel, maybe add another guy to the mix, whether Sean Graham is able to step up and be that guy, or Alan Boyko, or Dexter Dawson, for that matter. They have a chance to have a pretty good receiver core in Winnipeg.
2nd and 10. Bombers at the Montreal 30. Vargas gets out of trouble. Now spotting Stiegel wide open, touchdown. Milt Stiegel, his 2nd of the day. 30 yards to Stiegel, his 13th touchdown on the year. And it's not done by a long shot here with 3:40 to go.
Well, the first part of this play, Chris Vargas avoids the sack. Milt Stiegel, 85, in his slot's going to break across the field. He sees his quarterback get open. Now he's going to wave his hand, let him know, here I am. But Vargas almost babied the ball enough to let Rashawn Giddings get his hand on it. He just barely got it over the top of him, but Stiegel, good concentration, caught it and backed in the end zone for the touchdown. But credit Vargas for getting out of the sack situation. He was dead to right sack, but able to break the tackle and get the ball to Stiegel.
And an injured Alouette. It's the safety Tom Europe down. Well, that was only a 30-yard touchdown for Stiegel. That'll pull the average down a bit, but I don't know. Dave Ritchie's a defensive specialist. I don't know if he's savoring this afternoon of football. Kind of vintage CFL offense, however.
Oh, Vargas, watch Vargas avoid the sack right here. That's Swift Birch coming in. Then he just babies it just over the top of Giddings. Stiegel able to haul it in and get in the end zone. And the guy that was flying by right at the end, here's the little touch pass just over Giddings. And here comes Europe flying in, and he threw the arm out. When you throw the arm out, that shoulder is in a vulnerable situation there, and wasn't able to wrap up Stiegel, but put a lot of strain on the shoulder and probably elbow there as he tried to arm tackle Stiegel at the end.
120 yards for Stiegel on the day, so he's approaching his season best. There's Giddings trying to climb the ladder. One rung too short.
He's played a super ball game. He had an eye on Vargas, just couldn't quite get up high enough to make the play. Europe making his way to the sideline, and again, Dave Ritchie has to be wincing himself because this is the second member of his secondary that's limped off in this series.
Troy Westwood, who has done a lot of stretching in the second half on the sidelines, trying to get loose after the bone-crunching hit by Douglas Kraft, adds the extra point, and it's a 7-point game with 3:35 to go. And if I'm Chris Vargas, I'm listening to Milt Stiegel.
Yeah, that's a guy, that 85 is a guy, if he's got an idea, and he doesn't speak very much. He's a guy that leads by example, has made a lot of plays, and he goes where he's told to go. But if he's got a suggestion on the sideline, averaging 27, 26 yards a catch, I'm going to listen.
Of course, the message there was, I'm in the clear, which I think is a common message for receivers in this league, or in any league.
Well, Dave Ritchie anticipating maybe a short kick here with just 3:35 left in the game, and his team up by 7 points. He's deployed his hands team, which includes defensive backs, wide receivers, and some of your more talented linebackers will be part of that crew up front.
Well, considering the position of these two teams, this game wasn't circled on everybody's calendar before the start of the week, but it's been a beauty. Haskins broke one tackle and gets up to the 40. And Tracy Ham continues at quarterback for Montreal, so Winnipeg has not given Montreal a chance to take a breather in the second half.
A solid drive, 8-play, 74-yard drive, and used just under 4 minutes on the clock, and the 30-yard catch from Stiegel, but very well-engineered drive by Chris Vargas. Made several plays, avoided sacks, and was able to get the ball to Stiegel to keep his team in the game.
I don't think Milt Stiegel is going to be the outstanding player in the CFL this year, but he certainly warrants long consideration. What a year. Haskins drilled as he hit the line. D. Osborne with the tackle. D lost the nameplate.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say D doesn't even get his name on his back.
Trying to make a name for himself here in the dying minutes of the game. 3 minutes to go. Tom Europe's had a sore knee the past few weeks and nicked it again on that touchdown pass to Milt Stiegel, trying to walk off the effects of that. And as the Alouettes go back to work on offense, The ball at the 36. Under 3 minutes to go in a 7-point game. Here comes the safety blitz, and Elberg nails Ham back at the 22.
I thought for a moment that Elberg had waited too long. His timing was off on this blitz, but he times it perfectly. They never suspect him blitzing from about 10, 12 yards deep, and that's where he comes from on this play. And credit the secondary for good coverage. Ham can't unload at the time, and Elberg comes right through the middle and makes the hit. You see, you don't even see Elberg in the screen. He's coming, he's coming. All of a sudden, he flashes right through and makes the hit, and that's a secondary sack.
So 3rd and 20, and the Bombers will get the ball right back. Baker, short punt. Dexter Dawson from his 45. And stopped at the 50, so Chris Vargas has good field position. On a wild afternoon at the Big O. Most points for the Bombers this year, 43 in their victory over the Labor Day weekend against Saskatchewan. They have 34 today.
They played a very solid football game today, Chris, and all they wanted was to have a chance to win it at the end. And with 2:35 left, they have that opportunity with the ball at their 50-yard line.
Now let's see if Vargas looks to Stiegel again after the touchdown in the sideline meeting. Looked wide there, and that one almost picked off. Charles Gordon, who's been a ball hawk throughout his CFL's career, looked like he had a beat on that.
Well, Charles Gordon is certainly a ball hawk. 35 career interceptions over 6 seasons, so you realize that he has the ability to get the football. 7 last year in an all CFL year, and he just baited Vargas. He made it look like he couldn't get out to that play, and Vargas believed it and threw it. It almost went the other direction.
2nd and 10. Low shotgun snap. Vargas and Irv Smith back in the ball game. Drops an easy one. Back-to-back near picks thrown by Vargas, and he's lucky it's 3rd down.
Well, that time just a poor read by Vargas. He gets pressure from Payton, and he doesn't read the corner rolling up to the short side of the field. That's a common coverage in 3rd and long, or 2nd and long, rolling up to the weak side. You got to credit Payton, too. He rushed the throw, which didn't allow Vargas to actually read the coverage. And Irvin Smith should have come up with that interception.
3rd down, Cameron. The wily old quarterback who's thrown 1 completion today will kick this one away with over 2 minutes to go. And this one bouncing down inside the 10 for Haskins. And Haskins is down right there. So Winnipeg does the job after a 51-yard punt by the veteran Bob Cameron. So it's back in the Winnipeg's defense's hands to hit him deep.
I think Cameron's shaking his head saying, I can't believe where the young guy lined up to receive the kick. He lined up to the short side of the field, and Cameron said, hey, I got the whole wide side to kick this ball to. And being around as long as Cameron's been around, 304 consecutive games, a CFL record. He pounds it down inside the 10, and a minimal return puts it at the 13-yard line. He gives his team another opportunity to win the field position battle.
You saw the great emotion after the last defensive stand by Winnipeg from Grant Carter, and they were revved up to do it again. Haskins bursts through the hole, and he's up to the 23. That's a gain of close to 9. He's got a burst.
He really does. He hit that hard. Good push by the offensive line and Michael Souls. And really, this is where they would like to put the whole game on top of the shoulders of this offensive line and Michael Souls to create some opportunities for Haskins to try to run this clock out.
Close enough for a measurement. And just short, which in Montreal's case might be fine. They could chew up 1 more play on the clock.
Yeah, if you're Winnipeg, you probably would have liked to have seen him pick up the 1st down there and limit the plays, but now an additional play here for Tracy Ham to play around with.
Brett McNeil and the Winnipeg offense can only hope they'll get the ball back again. Now under 2 minutes to go, and second and a couple of chain links. Just plunging ahead, that'll move the sticks.
And Tracy ran the play clock down to 1 second before he snapped it. Used the entire 20 seconds before he snapped the football.
Well, if you're looking to buy a ticket next year for a game in Winnipeg or Montreal, you might want to take this matchup because they've played 4 beauties this season.
Hey, this matchup well against certain teams. Both teams are hard-hitting teams that like to feature the run, and they play close ball games.
90 seconds to go. 1 second on the clock again as Ham uses all the time he can. Haskins stuffed there. Shante Peoples in the middle of it.
Probably going to want to burn your timeout now to conserve time, which they do right there. So Winnipeg uses their timeout. Shante Peoples continues to squeeze down, trying to stop the run. There's Greg Battle, who we've felt like has played pretty solid most of the day.
Brad Elberg is checked back in as a nickel back. Glenn Scribner coming out. And this is the key play of the game for the defense now. 2nd and 9. Montreal converts here, and this one's just about done. Tracy Ham looking deep, looking for Jock Climbey, and he's got it. Jock Climbey to the Winnipeg 45. 40 yards as they convert 2nd and 9 with 1:17 to go.
Well, the last series of downs, they came with the safety blitz, and it was not picked up. This time it is picked up, and Ham has time to sort things out, and Climbey, just a super throw by Ham. That ball's right over the shoulder. He doesn't break stride. And Garrett was there, but it was just a super throw. And there's the pickup on Elberg, and that was Haskins, the young running back, cut the free safety down, gave his quarterback some time to make the super throw, just a perfect throw to Climbey against pretty tight coverage from Shannon Garrett.
8th catch of the game for Climbey, 134 yards. Boy, Tracy Ham has really had success with those slot backs today. Armstrong's had a big game. Climbey, Pringle over 100 yards. Jock Climbey's best game of the year, 184 yards against Saskatchewan. And we're down to the final minute now, and time running out on the Bombers.
Grant Carter takes one under the chin from Souls, and then Bruce Beaton gets in there, and that's what stopping the run against this team is all about. You're going to have to absorb 3 or 4 hits. You know, talking about Climbey, 7 catches today. The last time these two teams met, he did not have a reception. So it's been a big turnaround.
There's Haskins again. He's quick, and he can break tackles, and he's down to the 25. 15 for Haskins, and the Maytag repairman can run.
Well, Dave Ritchie said he was a solid running back. He just hadn't had his chance to play, and he's shown that in the few carries he's had in this ball game.
6 carries, 35 yards.
Now, the offensive line has really stepped up in this drive. They wanted to salt the game away with the running game. Of course, the big pickup against the blitz and the throw to Climbey has sealed it, but the offensive line and Michael Souls have stepped up to provide the opportunity for them to win this ball game.
Well, by no means was this easy, but at times the Alouettes have been so effective. That opening drive, when they needed a drive after falling behind by 10, they went up the field almost at will, and now here in the final minute, they've killed the clock with another impressive drive, and Dave Ritchie congratulating his staff. They were behind by 10, but then Ritchie's team got going, and they have their 12th win of the season And Winnipeg gets 14th loss.
Well, Dave breathes a sigh of relief, and Jeff again has to absorb another real close loss. His team has been in so many games and lost so many close ball games that you have to use that as a positive, a building block towards next season, as they have one left, the classic battle next week against Saskatchewan on Friday night on TSN, so that'll be a good one to watch. But those two guys, I think, have done a pretty good job under the circumstances. Reinbold's been a tough situation with all the changes, and Dave Ritchie continues to put his team in a great situation. Let's go down to Mark Lee.
Thank you, Dave Archer. I'm with Jock Clammy, who had the game's opening touchdown in a huge game today, Jock, with 134 yards.
Well, obviously this game didn't count for anything in the standings for either club, but I think it was really important for us to come out and play well. You know, this game is a game of confidence most times, and obviously with the playoffs coming up, we couldn't afford to lose today.
And you've got that big game coming up next week, the final game of the season against Toronto.
Yeah, it's a bit of a prep for us, I suppose, assuming we make it to the Eastern Final. Toronto's been tough on everybody this year, but I think we're slowly moving in the right direction as far as playing that particular club. But I think we should all be happy that we came out with a win today in any event.
For sure. And what is it about you and Winnipeg? You guys match up so well. These have been probably 4 of the closest games we've seen in the league this year.
Well, unfortunately, we haven't been able to really put anybody away convincingly, which has been a problem for us all year. Winnipeg actually is a very tough team. I mean, they play extremely hard. I'm not just saying that. It's not, you know, not just giving them credit for the sake of giving them credit. They're a tough team. It's unfortunate they haven't had more wins this year, but you know, we came out to play today, and so today, and luckily we came out with a win.
Well, Jock, congratulations, 134 yards and a touchdown. You're making a case for yourself for top Canadian, and you're probably real happy you came back for another year. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Jock Clammy and the Montreal Alouettes winning here today over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The final 41-34. The Alouettes tie a team record with 12 wins and sweep the season series against Winnipeg. That's it from Montreal. Let's send you to Toronto now and horse racing. Here's Brian Williams.